sport fans watching around the world, this is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Let's get straight into the episode.
Yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stun.
Before we start, I need to say something to you that I say to everyone that comes on, but I would not be saying it if it wasn't true. You're sitting here because I find you interesting. That's because you are an interesting person. I want to learn more about you, how you think, and how you feel, and I love to have the opportunity to be able to share this experience. So I really appreciate you coming over. Thank you for sitting down. And ladies and gentlemen listening, I'm very excited to be getting to know my guest today on a more personal level. And I really hope that everyone enjoys this episode because it's a very sentimental and important one to me, because through the power of the internet, I think it's beautiful that two people can get together and get to know each other better. I couldn't think of a better person to get to know better, and I do love meeting people for the first time. I will now consider him my most recent friend. For those who don't know him, this is Alexander Johnson.
It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah,
you got on the first try.
Yeah, I did. Now I locked the iPad so it doesn't distract me. All right, where do we want to start, bro? My first question is usually, how do you feel, like, just currently in the moment? Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I got some good sleep. The reason I was a bit late was because I went to we recently got a puppy.
Oh, nice.
His name's Teddy.
Yeah.
And I was just like saying hi to him because I didn't get to see him much lately. Because I do support work, so I look after someone in Wollongong, so I sleep over there. So it means
what?
Yeah, I do 3 nights in Wollongong, and then I just go to the so it's like if I finish at 9, then I start again at 3 p.m. So I just go to the games workshop and just hang out there, and then I come back to work.
All right, then, Dan, you give me some interesting things. I want to pick this apart a bit. So support work, so you're looking after a person who needs some support, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm pretty unfamiliar with the whole field of it. So what is this person, because it would stretch everything from like disabled, as in like can't walk and things like that, to mental disabilities as well? Is that what?
He's all there. He's just like obese.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Shit, how obese is obese?
200 kilos.
200 kilos? That's a big boy, I guess. Yeah,
but he's a really nice guy. He's like a granddad. He's a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, no, older gentleman.
Yes, yeah, he's in his 60s. He's a really nice guy. And, so I love working there and I like seeing him. But I'm at Macquarie.
Yeah.
Macquarie Uni doing international studies.
Nice.
So I majored in Japanese and almost finished with that. And I'm hoping to do commerce or something else next, like human relations.
Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Oh, fuck, this is exciting, bro. You got heaps of stuff for me to get through. So what you're studying in uni, is that what led you to helping out this gentleman in Wollongong?
No,
or is it completely separate?
If you remember Caleb,
I'm pretty bad with names, but I'm good with faces.
He was in the year below me. He's my best friend. So his mum was the CEO, and she offered me a job there. And
Nice.
So I used to do office work at the start for like 2 days a week, and then I think it was like 3 days at uni. That was like 2018, and then around 2019, I started to. There was a guy that came over from Japan, and I was his interpreter.
Oh, that's cool.
So they're like, "Oh, we just don't have any staff," and I overheard the call, and I'd never actually met that many participants because I was always in the office. So I started doing the field work, and then eventually that led me to that. And I've moved. The guy I look after wasn't with that company. I eventually left that place because it wasn't so good.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, another bloke from our school, Caleb Malcolm, he was working there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Couple good shout outs to the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
cool.
worked with them for a bit, so it was fun. Now this is just at the moment the job, and I like studying, but I also like working there. So I'm gonna keep studying and continue working with him. So I was almost a bit sad because like if I finish the degree, I might have to like find a job in something else. I don't really want to leave, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes.
I bet it's so fulfilling just being, because I bet this person's appreciative of
Yeah.
the fact that you're there.
Yeah.
Especially staying overnight and things like that. That's cool. So did you stay in his house with him or like
Yeah,
this? Yeah.
I'm. He's got like a big electric wheelchair, and I'm sitting there watching telly, and we talk and have like we know each other pretty well, and anything he asks me to do, I try my best to do it for him.
Yeah.
Like his personal needs. If he can do it himself, he could, but if there's something like on the top shelf. It's funny because the guy's like 6'5".
Oh wow.
So, yeah, he's a big bloke.
And he's getting you to get shit from the top shelf.
Because he can't walk.
Yeah,
He's got
yeah.
really bad arthritis, so he has to sit in the chair. So I have to reach up to the top. But if it was back when he was around my age, he'd have no trouble. He'd tower over me.
Yeah. Wow.
People don't realize because like he lays in the bed or in the chair, and they don't realize just quite how like tall he is. 'Cause he's over 6'5".
Yeah. Fuck, that's a big human.
He's
bro.
a big guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He knows that. He's always been a big bloke.
Yeah. What's his nationality?
Aussie.
Aussie. Wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe he would have been some kind of like Nordic Viking look
No.
back inherited or something like that.
He has some heritage from that part of the world, like very distant, because he's a big history buff, like me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he tracked down his ancestry, but it's mostly very Aussie. When they got to Australia, it's because it was I think they went from France to England and Australia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all just there's he doesn't speak another language or anything. It's all like third generation Australian.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
very very bog standard.
I'm very, very similar. I've tracked my family history too from my grandparents. They put in all the work. I didn't have to do anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But they found out that we came from like Norway, and then Norway went over into England, and then England to France, and then I think we might have crossed over to Germany for a little bit before we ended up coming over to Australia. But I feel proud for being like, yeah, I'm a Nordic, come from Norway,
Nordic,
you know what I mean? But reality, it's like 1%, 2%. Who
Yes.
knows? It's probably very, very small.
It's all very Western European. But that's the thing about Europe is that they're all very, very mixed.
Oh
And,
yeah, yeah.
A lot of like, I think because like all the past like empires and stuff, like there'll be people that are, born in Turkey, but they're mostly Greek. But
Yeah.
they just lived in Turkey for like one generation when it
Yeah.
became Turkey, and a lot of Russians aren't all that Russian really. It's a bit of Greek and Central Asian.
Well, Greece was like a massive hotspot of the whole world. I think Greece at
Yes.
one point took over a lot of Europe, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in when they first started like settling in what's now like Russia and Ukraine, like Greece was the main guy. What's now Greece, was the main was a pretty big powerhouse at the time.
I find Greece to be interesting, and just in the fact that it used to be the hotspot of the world, like it was the central hub for trade and transport, and it had the biggest economy, and basically the world worked on, I'm pretty sure their dollar, I think, at one point. I'm not exactly sure about that, but it kind of just all collapsed, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was the oldest used currency. I think it's called the dinar, for Greece, and it's funny because like most like places that are really prominent, like I don't know, maybe France or China, they've got really good geography. Like France is protected around its borders, but it's also got a lot of rivers and flat land for like growing crops. And same with China, it's got lots of rivers and it's protected with the mountains and the jungles. But there's really nothing all that crazy about Greece.
Yeah, I know.
It's not great for growing food. It's
Yeah.
great for seasonal food. Like I don't mean to upset any Greeks, but like
They would get, all Greeks would get offended
Yeah.
at any little thing, eh?
they're so proud. But there's
Yeah.
nothing like too great. That's why they were great seafaring people, because they couldn't grow up. They traded, so they were able to spread out because of that. But I'd need to look more into it. But yeah, generally speaking, even now, like when it comes to like when people pass away, so because there's not a lot of land to bury them, they have like these big crypts, and so they're actually buried like all pretty close together in like these like underground, or these tombs.
Wow.
They bury them for a bit, and then I think they take them out and they put them in like the crypt, because there's not a lot of land that they can
Wow.
use. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's cool. It's mad that you give me a little travel through time with Greece and stuff like that, because I really like Greece is like every Greek I meet, and I know quite a few of them. They're pretty crazy people. They love Greece so much. They're so proud of it.
Yeah.
And I love just arguing with them, saying Greece is shit. You know,
Yeah.
just to rile them up. But in reality, like, I can see why they'd be so proud because all astrology comes from Greece. All modern medicine comes from Greece. All of language basically stems from Greek. Like, you know, but and we even use a lot of words today that comes from Greek. You know, anything to do with ologist, like geologist, paleontologist. It's all ologist is a Greek word for, I think, studier or profession or something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
So
'Cause if I'm looking at, we got anthropologists. Anthro would be like human, and apologist, to study. Because like if you know misanthropy, it's just the hatred of human.
yeah,
So it all stems from that. There's all like, we have a lot of words that we use from Greek.
yeah.
And
Even
it's-
I think our number system is pretty much based on Greek as well. I think that maybe 1 through to 10, and even our simple maths and sine, cos, tan, I think all of that might have been Greek. Algebra could have been. I'm pretty sure it was.
I think it was the Indo-European languages we got it from. I'm not too sure actually about the numbers, but a lot of stuff from Greek over the years, and even if you look at how they write like Russian, like that alphabet, that's based on Greek as well.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it continues over like so
Okay.
many places are inspired by Greece. Yeah.
Fucking Greek bastards, bro. What do you is your heritage, nationality?
A lot of Australian. Oh shit.
Yeah.
English and Irish. I think a bit of Spanish as well. They said like Spanish, Portuguese, so I'm not sure if they know exactly. But the latest thing I've been obsessed over is going to Spain.
Yeah. Love to check out Spain, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just like I had no interest in Spain before, and then I think I wanted to go to South America because I don't know, man. Like I did South American history at Macquarie, and I was familiar with it before, and this was like centuries ago. But the way they kind of treated the South Americans, they didn't really paint the Spanish in the best way. And I know it was like centuries ago, but kind of carried over a bit of a stigma for myself. I'm like, I don't want to go to Spain. Like,
Yeah.
you know what those guys used to get up to, like.
Yeah.
But
Well, they were conquerors, bro. The Spanish, like in reality, I'm pretty sure they went out and they planted their seed as much as they could in most of the
Yeah.
world.
Just-
I don't judge it. I think that's awesome. I love the fact that history was full of pillaging. I think it's what has made the world so multicultural.
yeah,
It's dope when you didn't have modern society constructs like empathy and conformity and all these things. Like I think a part of me is a bit like, fuck yeah, how cool would it have been to go take over a nation,
yeah,
I really do think that would have been awesome.
But-
I think now we have these society like implementations that make you a little bit like they completely take over your whole essential system where you're like you can see why it's wrong. But back then that was not a part of life.
yeah.
It was all about looking after people around you and people close to you.
Well, life was tough.
Yeah, for sure.
If you look at how life was back then, it was tough. People didn't live particularly long. Children a lot of the time didn't make it. It wasn't. I think some parts of the world they don't even name the kids until they start walking because it's
Wow.
possible that they won't make it, which is sad. But that's when you grow up in that environment, like I think your empathy, tends to disappear a bit, and you stop really. You don't really care.
Yeah, exactly. You care about the people close to you. You care about your tribe. You care about your clan. It's crazy to think that the world is now so connected through the internet. In reality, what a fucking crazy breakthrough we've had in just evolution. Like we shouldn't have the ability to jump on the internet and be like, oh fuck, look at this train derailment in fucking Saudi Arabia or Russia, or I can't believe this serial killer's out on loose in Portugal.
Yeah.
That shouldn't ever occur to us because we can't even possibly fathom the distance, how far away it is. I completely understand keeping the people close to you as close as possible because I'm like that with my friend group. I want to grab everyone I can around me and take over the world with my friends, you know, take over business, take over culture, take over sport, even fucking, I want all my mates to be champion fighters. Like, I want the people around me to be the best people. I'm not really going to care about other people I've never heard of succeeding. I want the people around me to succeed.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same mentality that all these past generations of people would have had. I think it's fucking pretty cool.
It's a big goal you've got.
Yeah.
But it's a good one because it's like it's not one that's going to be easily accomplished. You know, it's going to keep you working on it for a lifetime.
Oh yeah, even
Maybe
beyond.
longer.
I'm gonna have to have my next generation of people with the same mentality.
All right.
Yeah, I can't do this all on my own, but I think I just part of me maybe has tapped into that ancestral human experience of connectivity of people around you. Don't give a fuck about the rest of the world as much as you do the people around you, you know.
Right.
I think that's a big construct that's been missing for a lot of people around me anyway. I don't feel like a lot of people think like that. People are very in their own head, or they think about the whole planet, but what about the people close to you, you know? Yeah
It's it is crazy that we I think in the past there was the newspapers and news got around, but it was it took maybe a few days. But here it's as soon as they know.
Yeah.
It's actually got me interested in I was watching a video on conspiracy theories.
Awesome. I fucking know. Yeah, I love it.
There was like a YouTuber by Wendigoon made like an 8-hour long in total, because it's the parts of all the conspiracy theories. It's like, I think like 8 or 9 hours where he just goes through them all, and he doesn't necessarily believe in them. Like he doesn't, but they're just fun to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
And one he brought up was the idea of the segregated internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I've
thought
never
that
even heard of this actually.
it's
So
like
before we go into it deeper, what's the name of this channel?
Wendigoon.
Wendigoon. I'll put a link in the description for it.
Yeah.
I'll suss it out.
He does like it's like a horror channel sort of, but he does like the icebergs as well. But he makes like content on the lesser known stuff, and a bit of horror readings. I tend to prefer like the real historical stuff, like the funny stories he's got, and like the interesting people profiles.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a Bible iceberg. That's how I found his channel. I really liked that video, and the conspiracy theory, I just love it. Like to have it while driving to work and just thinking about all the shit. But the segregated internet was basically like the idea that through like language barrier, there's less things we know about from other sides of the world, where there's like equivalent to what we have here, but it's maybe in Germany or France, and that we don't know about because of the language barrier. But also I think of the Great Firewall, in China, how they restrict internet access, and I know in Russia they've got a lot of censorship and internet restrictions, and there's like certain apps that are region locked, and it's I don't know. Maybe I'd love to start my own YouTube channel, like break down these interesting topics.
That'd be cool. That'd be very cool. I
Yeah.
fucking hope you do. I'd love to watch those videos actually.
I need a new camera though.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you some recommendations for cameras. These ones are the Sony SV1s. They're pretty good entry level cameras. About $1,000 for a camera.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit expensive, but compared to what other cameras are, it's actually pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But it's a great entry level camera, honestly.
Well, Sony does good stuff.
Yeah. And just in our quick little brief so far, you sound like you're pretty educated on a bit of stuff.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe too much free time on my hands.
Yeah. No, it's cool. So segregated internet, does that come down to? So they reckon, because it's quite a known fact that like think about North Korea, right? They
Yes.
have no internet access outside the world.
Yeah.
Even like as you said, China with TikTok. Their TikTok is a lot different than our TikTok.
Yeah.
They only allow
no
them.
one is talking to them, basically.
Yeah. They only allow them to look at patriotic, educational, and historical TikToks. But the rest of the world, they're happy for us to just check out dancing clips and things like that,
Stupid crap like that.
Yeah.
I don't like TikTok. So.
Yeah, I'm a massive TikTok fan. I can't get off it. I'm addicted hard. I'm so addicted.
I like the I kind of cheat because I just watch the shorts on YouTube.
Yeah.
But obviously it's a lot more restricted than TikTok because not all TikTok is on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like some of the stuff from there. I think the music remix is always fun, you know, and there is cool stuff on there, but I don't use it because it's got a connection with the Socialist Party in China. Like the government owns it, and I think they've been, recently, like I know in Montana, the States, they're trying to get it banned in the state because they're worried about the Chinese spying.
Yeah. It is a scary thing if you want to dive deep into it. It's easy for me to just be obnoxious and you know, what's the old saying that I love using? Something is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. That's for me. I understand ignorance is bliss. I'm just gonna pretend like I don't know the whole TikTok situation.
Yeah.
Take whatever you want. You know, that's the way I see it.
In a way, I wish I could use it, but yeah. Look, I just.
Oh, you're not missing out by not having TikTok. No one's missing out. No one's missing out. Because
people get absolutely hooked on it. You know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of concerning, I guess, with I'm not a psychologist, but I think they are worried about our focus.
Oh, yeah. We'll call it 10-second attention span. That's what we've got.
15-second clips. And
yeah.
I mean, shit, it was Vine back in 2013. That was 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, shit, did anyone remember, like, Vine?
Yeah, dude, I loved Vine. I loved some of the old school Vine are some of the best memes today, still. Yeah. But TikTok's just another level. It is another level of distraction above all else. And I try and limit myself as much as I can to only when I'm on the toilet or if I'm literally waiting for something. Like if I've finished processing my video for the night, I'll allow myself, after I've done all my photos, everything's ready to get posted straight on YouTube, then I'll be like, I'll allow myself some TikTok scrolling time because I have to wait 15, 20 minutes, whatever it takes.
Because it takes, to upload on the computer, like it takes forever to process.
Yeah. Well,
it has to go through the footage.
This MacBook's pretty good to edit videos, and processing would usually take for a 2-hour video 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Upload speed to YouTube, that's another story. You just have to end up walking away. There's 2 hours at minimum.
Whatever YouTube feels like that day.
Yeah, exactly right.
Internet Australia sucks.
Yeah, I know.
NBN goes down. We don't have good internet. Yeah. It's slow. Like, it's slow as fuck.
NBN, I think by the time they rolled it out, it was 11 years old technology.
Yeah.
It's just shocking.
Not every area got it. Like, I'm from Windsor.
Mm-hmm. Are you from Windsor?
Yeah, my mum lives in Windsor. My dad lives in Quakers.
Wow.
So they split last year. So, like, I go between each house. Like, why, like, I call myself, like, a nomad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's either in the Gong, Quakers Hill, or Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
Staying the night or seeing my friend. Like I'll be in Curl on Monday at the beach to see my mate. So
nice.
I don't get a whole lot of time at home, but I do like being there. But yeah, I'm in the Hawkesbury as well. I think is this a part of the Hawkesbury?
This is the Hawkesbury, yeah.
Sweet.
McGrath Hill's a Hawkesbury.
Cool.
I love the Hawkesbury. I love it. Cool. I love it too. I used to live in Quakers. Our whole family lived in Quakers. We actually lived in Acacia Gardens.
Right.
So right near the temple, like on the other side of the M7.
Oh, the big, I think it's the Sikh temple.
Sikh temple, yeah. So just on the other side of the M7, that's where we lived. So we went and we've lived everywhere. I've lived in the Hawkesbury once before.
Yeah.
We've gone from, before that, I won't even get into it because there's too many houses, but from here it's been Hawkesbury, Rouse Hill, I want to say Quakers Hill, and then I want to say we came straight back here.
Yeah.
But that's just in a few years. Like I think I lived in like 14 houses since I've been born.
Right.
14, yeah. So I've moved around a bit.
I can't imagine that because I've only, we lived in the house that my dad's got now. Is the one I grew up in. So we kept the house because we rented it to my auntie, and then she got her own place. And then I briefly moved out. Like, I've lived in 3 houses. Yeah, I moved out to Wentworthville for a bit. Yeah, and then I live in Quakers and Windsor and basically Wollongong.
Yeah.
And when he stayed at Narellan before that. So I stayed at Narellan as well for a bit, around Campbelltown Way, which, I like Narelle and Campbelltown not so much.
Yeah. I'm the same with you. Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate Campbelltown.
I got a lot of mates that live in Narellan and Campbelltown.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that all the people I know are very awesome people.
Yeah.
But then every time I do it, because I work as a refrigeration mechanic, so for years I did service. So I'd go from suburb to suburb, spread across literally from past Wollongong, past to like I want to say the suburbs Dapto, even past there,
Wow.
and then I could go all the way to Northern Beaches, past DY, past Brookvale, to all the way past Picton, to all the way to Richmond.
Yeah.
So I'd just be driving
So
full
you get
loops.
around as well.
Oh yeah, I have in the past, definitely, especially doing service. I'd probably do an average of, I could do 3,000 Ks in a week at some points, you know. So there'd be pretty big
Long
service
driving.
calls. Yeah.
Did you listen to like music or Audible on the drive or anything like that?
Back then it was music.
Yeah.
Back then when I was doing service. Recently, over the last say 4 years, as I've been doing install, I don't do service anymore. I've just been, I can't tell you how many. I've probably listened to a song when I'm by myself in the car, maximum of 100 times.
Yeah.
Maximum. Yeah.
That's me with a lot of the songs I love. Like, yeah, I should just put it on repeat. But when I had the vinyl as well, man, my brother or my family could hear it.
Yeah,
Just be the
yeah.
same, like, that was great. Let's listen to it again.
Yeah.
They've got the speakers here, and I don't know, like the Rolling Stones or Doors or Pink Floyd, just over and over again.
Oh, old school, eh?
Yeah, I'm old school.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm complete opposite. If I'm not pumping country, I'm pumping like the most basic pop rap you've ever, like, I'm talking like Kid Leroy, fucking
Yeah.
Juice WRLD, like,
actually, I
it's
saw
just
him
straight
live.
country.
Juice WRLD.
Juice WRLD live?
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome, bro.
I saw him in December 2018
2018.
at Falls Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw him. My cousin's a huge fan.
I'm
And
a massive fan, yeah. I never got to see him. I had tickets to him in, I want to say it was something like October or November. I want to say in like 2020, if not 2021. My best mate, Fossey, he bought me tickets for my birthday. And we went down to Queensland with 4 of us, got a hotel, everything's ready. We're going to watch Travis Scott, Juice WRLD, and Akon. And then the festival got cancelled, so we were just there in a hotel for the weekend.
Like the weekend.
Yeah, just it was good fun. We went clubbing and stuff, but then there was tickets when we came back to watch him in Sydney, and we were like, we've just spent all this money. Let's just not waste any more money. We'll just watch him next round. And then he passed away
Yeah, he
like a
passed
month
away.
later.
Yeah.
And I was like, get fucked. I
He
was so
was- he-
spewing.
So young, like 2021, I think.
He was, 20, just turned 21. Just. I think he was like a week or a month into his birthday.
He was born. We have the same birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the 2nd December. I think he was born in '98.
Yeah.
So I'm 99.
Yeah, well.
So he was older than me when he died, and then like now I'm older than him. Cause but he was cool at the festival, man. Like a lot of crowds. They had like the like San Andreas footage in the background. Like it was a really cool display, and then like only a few weeks later, like he passed away. I was like, fuck.
Yes, it was
Like-
so upsetting for me. I was actually, at the time, he was my #1 artist.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was born in '98. The maths adds up, but I was born in '98 as well. So
because you were the year above me.
yeah. So pretty cool. So do you often go to music festivals? Like
No, I don't. I was like the first one besides the Wiggles.
yeah. Oh, dude, I loved the Wiggles. I went to the Wiggles when I was a kid too.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched them when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's cool. We probably even went on the same year, bro. Who knows?
It's possible. I mean, they tour like no one else. They're
Yeah.
always on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen. Oh, because I'm old school. Like everyone I like is it's either broken up or dead.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the Doors aren't around. Pink Floyd actually reformed
Mm-hmm.
because of the Ukraine. So like I do say like whenever like I've been pro Ukraine for a while, so like I've been following it. Like I watch the news updates on it every day. There's like a TVP World, like a Polish channel station that's in English,
Mhm.
and they talk about all that sort of stuff. So I've been keeping up with it, but the only one good thing I could say about it is that they brought back Pink Floyd.
Oh,
They
wow.
reformed to
Wow.
make a music video. So I got really big into them like 2019,
Mhm.
and I was like, I was obsessed with them. I used to read all their stuff. And every time you looked online, it says an English rock band. Like, they've been broken up for 20 years now, and they were saying we're never getting back together. And then last year,
Wow.
They made a song, so now you look them up now and it says an English rock band.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's still got most of them. I think David Gilmour and Nick Mason, because Rogers left and Nick Wright passed away. And yeah, that's just my Pink Floyd,
No, that's
my
cool.
Pink Floyd memory. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, out of all four, two of them came back together to support Ukraine during this. So thank you, Pink Floyd.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Pink Floyd. That's
Yeah.
cool. Pink Floyd's one of those ones. My old man loves Pink Floyd. So as a kid,
Yeah,
I used to get it drilled into my ears. You know, Another Brick in the Wall,
that stuff.
things
yeah.
like that. So it was
Classics.
pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ukraine and it's what first of all, it's strange how I've got this theory at the moment that I've been working on where tragedy really does bring people together
Yes.
like nothing else. And isn't something like as devastating as Ukraine and Russia invasion? So how could that possibly ever link? You never think that it would bring someone together like a band. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And because I noticed the reason why I had this theory is because I noticed that here for the first time when we went through our floods, that everyone in the community really gets together and helps out like nothing else. And that was awesome.
As a quick thing, when I saw Kiss live, they were saying like, "Oh, we wanted to come back to Sydney, but the COVID stuff." And then they're like, "Oh, we heard you guys had floods recently as well." And they were, they were really cool about it. They were really supportive. And they're like, hopefully you guys get through that." And because I'm like at my mum's place, like I'm right near the river. Like my back neighbor's flooded. Like I could see on the paddock at the back.
Oh, the fish bowl, the bathtub, like over the bridge. Is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm near the Wolves Club.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
So that little river, like my back, like one of my neighbors was canoeing in her, and where there's horses are, there aren't anymore because there was the water. She was picking shit up that drifted away. She was canoeing through her own backyard.
Yeah.
Is that
Dude.
bad?
Dude, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I'll send it to you up there, and I'll put a link in the description for everyone who hasn't watched it. But Patrick Brown,
Yeah, I do.
he's down at Windsor as well. So
I didn't know he was at Windsor.
his house went underwater.
Oh, dear.
And it was like devastating at the time. He's all recovered from it now. Everything's back to normal. He's a machine. He puts things back together like it never happened. But the 7 News came out to check out his street because it was one of the biggest streets, and they have footage of him in his own house in a canoe.
Right.
In his own house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I got to sneeze. It's killing me. But yeah, me and him, we were going into his backyard with canoes, and we'd be like shooting down what used to be farmland. And then slowly the water started rising till the next time, the news ended up coming out. The news team are like very much waist deep in his living room, and he's sitting there with his canoe, just giving the news a story. So it's a pretty cool clip.
That's just Patrick.
Yeah, that
He's
is
funny. He's very funny.
Yeah.
He's always been really funny. But I'm glad you're still mates with him.
Yeah, of course, I'm still mates with him. I love him to death. He just had his engagement party. He's getting married in March of next year, and I'm his best man for his wedding. So I've
Good
got
on him.
Yeah, good on him. He's done very well. He's found himself an awesome girl. He's got an awesome house. He's worked very hard.
All right.
And I'm very excited, very
Well
honoured
done.
to be his best man. I can't wait to give a speech. I'm going to try and make sure it's the best speech anyone's ever given because he deserves it.
Yeah,
He really does.
He was always very funny.
Yeah. Somehow life just happens to him. Like, he's a main character, you know what I mean?
Yes.
He's a main character.
And his sister's very nice too.
Yeah, April. Oh, I
Yeah,
love April.
Very smart. I think I did studies of religion with her, and yeah, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
There can be, I think the only thing that is in common with those two, because Patrick couldn't care less about school, but she loves school. But they're both very nice people. But I think they both love sports as well. She's really into the sports, and I think so is he.
He used to be very active. He's gotten slowly back into the gym now, but his life basically revolves now about working. To be honest, he works hard.
Yeah.
If he's not working, he's working on his house, or he's working on himself, working on his relationship, working on something. He's always evolving as a human. And April, she's now dating this gentleman named Wes, who was from the States. So they'll go spend some time over in the United States together.
Yeah.
Then they'll come here together. And I met him 2 weeks ago or something like that. So he's actually going to come over and do a podcast hopefully
that's
as
cool.
well.
Yeah. Is that the first Yank? American?
Yeah. He'll be my first Yankee. So that's pretty cool.
What part of the States?
I've got no idea. I'm going to meet him and talk to him pretty much for the first time. I just had a brief little conversation with him when I met him.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Brown family are one of the nicest families.
They are very nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I remembered this, but I heard like 10 years ago. His mum makes really nice tacos.
Oh, their mum makes nice everything, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a 5-star hotel chef, and she still follows the same principles any chef should follow. She just makes banging recipes, like.
I'd imagine.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, I want to circle back to what you're studying at the moment. So can you break it down what your course kind of involves from, you said you're nearly finished.
I am, yeah.
And how long does the course go for? Is it, did you say what did you say the
Oh, it
course
was
is called?
international studies.
International studies.
But I started in like 2018, but because I've worked during it all, I've done like 2 or 3 subjects, and then COVID basically fucked me over and I couldn't do my exchange, so I had to like do 1 or 2. So last semester I did 2. This next one, because I've only got 1 left, it'll be just 1. And I kind of don't like just doing 1. I prefer to do like 3, but this is the last one I've got.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's taken me a fair bit, but I've worked throughout all of it. I did take once last year. I took a semester off because like, yeah, last year with the divorce was for me, it was tough. And I reconnected with Tamir and Owen.
Oh yeah,
Zed,
I remember those two. I do remember those two. Yeah.
They're awesome. They're my best friends. So like I reconnected with them, and I'm glad I did because like I had them throughout the year. Because I think we weren't enemies or anything, but we weren't speaking together all the time. And then I found out they were doing like every weekend they would get together and play Warhammer together, like Games Workshop.
Nice.
And so I just got back into that. So I was happy to join along with them, and I hopefully we can do it again soon, but everyone's been too busy.
Yeah.
So I just that I took a semester off, so that probably held me back a bit. But at the time when uni had started, I hadn't realized it had started again. I was in Wisconsin, US.
Oh
USA,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So I was at a baseball game. And I was emailing one of the teachers. Checking using a Wi-Fi because where we stayed was at an air show, so we were camping, and they didn't have like internet there. So,
yeah.
They had some Wi-Fi, but only in certain spots. And to charge your phone, you had to go to like this little building because we didn't have a phone charger. We were in a tent. So yeah, that was, I got to have my holiday and not have to worry about uni, and it was good time. I went with my dad.
To an air show, you're saying? So
yes.
That's one of the. We don't have anything like that here, do we?
No.
Nothing close.
It becomes like the busiest airport in the world.
Also, it's actually at an airport, an air show.
Yeah, like a little one. It's not. I think it's for like aviation fans. It's not an actual like proper airport. It's more like a air show ground. And they have all the. You get to see the like a really cool American jet shit they won't bring here because it's still theirs. And one of them was like able to hover and like kind of drift around.
Oh,
yeah.
No way! I
like
didn't
a
even know
drone,
we
it
had
hovers. Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's one. A lot of them, you see them move and then you hear them.
No way.
Yeah, they're quick. They're really fast.
Yeah.
So like I got used to it because like I'd see one fly over and I'm like, because I don't really like terribly loud noises, and also like it freaks dogs out as well. So like if I was with my friend's dog, I'm bracing for it because it scares the shit out of dogs.
Yeah.
Like they're scared of thunder. They're gonna be scared of like the jet rolling by. But yeah, you hear it, you see it, and then you hear it. Like it's a really big whip. In your ear. Yeah.
Okay, it's pretty much breaking the barrier of sound then.
It is. Yeah, they move that fast. It's cool to see. I don't think we have anything like that in Australia just yet.
Damn, you just put something on my bucket list. To be honest, I'd like to go see an air show.
EAA.
Yeah.
At the Wisconsin, I think it's called EAA, Experimental Air Aviation Show. It's at Oshkosh. Brings in people from all over the world. Funnily enough, I met someone that was like at Narellan.
Oh yeah.
Because I was just like, oh, I'm from Windsor Way, and they're like, oh, we're from Narellan. Like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like, I know where
cool.
that is. That was where I was working at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you meet people from all over the world. Like there's a lot of Australians, a few Englishmen, but mostly Americans. Like they bring their camper vans, and I'm really big into geography and shit. So I was just like walking past, looking at the number plates. I'm like, oh, they're from Kentucky or from Missouri. Like just getting cool stuff. A lot of Canadians too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canadians go really cool people.
that your first time in the States?
No, I went there in 2016 to California and Nevada, flat Las Vegas.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm not a huge fan of California for the most part. I think LA, I hate LA.
Yeah.
It's very fake. Like Wisconsin, if I'm honest, is it's boring, but it's my kind of boring. Like you meet genuine people. There's good forest trails, lots of lakes. It's very pretty, and the people are really nice.
That sounds like my kind of thing too.
Yeah.
It's funny about LA. It's I heard this quote. I think it came from Bobby Lee's podcast, Tiger Belly, and I think I could be misquoting, but I think it was Logic, the rapper Logic, who said it, and that's the internet is like a reality show that is playing 24/7 and everyone's a part of it.
Yeah.
And LA to me looks like the main hub for recording for that reality show.
Yeah.
And I see it because I'm kind of hooked on some parts of social media that I don't want to be hooked on. Like I'm on Snapchat, and then Snapchat has your mate's stories, and then underneath that it has like celebrities.
The stories from like the promotions, and it's all LA.
Yeah. And I'm in the mix of like, because I do like their podcast, and I love the Nelk Boys, so I love Bradley Martin's Raw Talk, and I love all of the people that relate with them as well. So I'm constantly just clicking, just watching these people from LA live their lives. Part of me is a little bit like, oh man, why can't I be living that life? But then another part of me is like, it's weird because you kind of feel like you know them, you kind of feel like they're your friends because you watch so much of them.
Yeah.
But I know that every single one of those photos that was taken to make these stories in LA was planned and rehearsed.
Yes.
Every part of it. It's a TV production.
Yeah, LA is like that, and I can't imagine anything worse. Like people look up to these. I did when I was a kid. Looking at the photos like Kendrick Lamar in LA and wearing Reeboks and shit. I'm like, man, it's so cool. Like hang out with your friends and doing that, and you realize it's a photo shoot. Like,
yeah.
He signs a contract to go out there, and it's like props to them for looking cool while like 15 people are standing around them like with lighting and cameras and trying to get the best angle. And, yeah, I can't imagine anything worse than
it's so odd to think about that. I'm just gonna pause because I want to get back to I'm really interested in the international studies, so
Okay.
I do want to circle back to that. But the fact that social media exists and these high profile individuals, like easy one to example would be Kim Kardashian, right?
Huge.
She's got these Instagram photos that make her look like she's just an everyday person hanging out in a pub drinking a bottle of Guinness, a glass of Guinness, and then someone will leak a behind the scenes footage and there'll be literally 50 camera crew and lighting and sound bars and shit to have her posing in a pub that literally has fake actors like posing as people in this pub.
Yeah.
So that was a promotion for that pub. And then that's the same with, it spreads out into the rap community and it spreads out into the reality TV show and the YouTube come ups and all these podcasters, all these things. It's like the entire city of Los Angeles, and it kind of spreads out into New York in some places, and like it's just one giant movie set. You know, the whole thing, and it gets the whole world attracted to it. But it's completely fake, and I do really, really want to go see it, and part of me wants to be a part of it so I can understand it from a business perspective,
You need to go there at least once. Yeah. Even if you hate it.
Yeah.
But it's LA is great if you can afford it. There's really nice areas in LA, like those while the YouTubers, they might be fake people, the homes they're in and the neighborhoods, they're not fake. That's a lot of them. The neighbors are like just wealthy people that have moved there. Not everyone there has a film or media career. A lot of them are just people that like the area, because California is very beautiful. It has had a lot of problems, a lot of like social issues, a lot of particularly the homeless, especially in LA.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
It's disgusting. You've got like one across the store road is a jeweler that will sell you something for several thousands, and then there's a guy that doesn't know if he'll be able to eat tonight. It's not that far away, so it's.
I think they have like
LA.
8 blocks now. I think they have 8 blocks of homelessness where they cannot clean it up any more than they have. Like they can't control it. It's like a rapid disease, like it's like a pandemic of infection that is just growing rapidly throughout America. And the homeless population, I'm just completely guessing. I'm going to guess that in LA alone, there'd have to be 300,000 homeless. And it's a good thing that I have the internet with me right
I think
now.
it's like 50,000.
50,000, maybe it's a more accurate thing.
It's hard to say because, you know, they're not people that state their families, and, you know, they don't have like official records of them because they're just people that show up and sleep on the sidewalk or have a tent.
Well, this is as much as they can recently estimate in Los Angeles. They have about 1 in every 150 people in LA is actually homeless, which is equivalent to 70,000 people experiencing homelessness. You know, and that's just what they've recorded.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it could be more.
That's insanity. 1 in every 150 people are homeless.
Well, the thing about LA and California is that for the year round, it's pretty warm. So a lot of the homeless people that come there because it's warm year round. So they don't have to. If you're in Denver, you know, Denver gets freezing in winter, you know, snow. And if you've got a precarious housing situation, then you go to LA, where it's warm year round, and it's you know, Cali's a wealthy state, so you're more likely to come across people that are being a bit more generous, and it's also a big tourist spot. You know? But yeah, I think the weather's one of the big factors, is that it's warm.
Yeah.
So
it's nuts. I do really want to go see it. I'm going to Los Angeles, United States for the first time in 2024. I was originally just going to quickly dip in and dip out because I'm going to Canada and Alaska, and I'm really thinking I should spend some more time just wrapping my head around what it's really like to live in there, because everything that we consume comes from America.
a lot, yeah.
We don't consume anything, well, not on a public massive level like we do with YouTube and Netflix. You know, most things come from LA, California, New York, and even like places like Philadelphia. A lot of places are blowing up more.
Yeah.
But Sydney hasn't got anything like it. There's nothing like it.
I think there's a bit of a filming scene in Queensland.
Mm-hmm.
I think they filmed Mortal Kombat there, actually, the Mortal Kombat film, yeah. Because I think it was during lockdown, so they couldn't go back. So they had to like film it, in Queensland. So that's why there's a lot of Australian actors, and I think they want to come back here to film again, but I think it might be cheaper.
Yeah.
'Cause LA is expensive.
Yeah.
And so they started filming instead in some parts of Canada and Atlanta and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, after a while, those areas become expensive too.
Yeah. I feel like when it comes to filming media in general, even if it comes to like a box office hit movie, it's going to become more and more applicable for the average everyday person to create something marvelous, especially with the way editing is. I can just see it on my computer. I don't have to have any skill to be able to throw a great video together. And it's easy doing the podcast. It's actually as easy as anything could be when it comes to editing, because it's just cutting between camera angles. But just playing around with special effects, I'm like, I could easily film music videos. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. And then what's stopping me from filming short films?
Yeah, if you know how to do it on Movie Maker. Like even for me, when I had to make a video for uni, and it was pretty easy to put together. The only thing that wasn't great was the audio quality.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a mic, but yeah, filming just with the camera on the laptop and a Movie Maker, just threw it together. You know, I had the script written. Yeah, that was it. That was nowadays. You know, you don't need it's like it's funny because they had this in the early 2000s. There was this show called G4. That was like a video game TV show, and they brought back G4 because it ended like in the early 2000s, and it didn't do well. And that's because, you know, nowadays anyone in their room with a camera is able to make stuff way more interesting than G4. And G4 was like a full, you know, they had the building, the professional production, they had camera crews.
I think I remember this G4 show. I think I do. Yeah.
The new one, well, yeah, they brought it back for like all 2 people that wanted to watch it, and it didn't do well. And so, yeah, it was what people were saying from the start was that it's, you know, a different time. Yeah, that was before the internet, like, filming was on the internet. Like that was before YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. I think I do remember this G4 show. And like just speaking on the subject, like are you familiar with like Kai Cenat and Aden Ross and all these Twitch streamers? Well, Kai Cenat, he's in this group called the AMP House, and they basically live stream on Twitch, and there could be like up to like 6 or 7 people doing it at the same time.
The whole day. They
Yeah.
I've seen those, and they're crazy.
Yeah, well, they just recently did one called I want to call it like the War in the AMP House, where basically all the different Twitch streamers, they just started stocking up on like paintball guns and fireworks.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they played the Purge sound through the whole house, and every Twitch streamer's in their room and the sound's going off, and people were obviously at home watching it with multiple different windows open at the same time. And all of a sudden, like, they're all at war with each other. Yeah. So they will just blast each other, throw fireworks in each other's room, and they torched this house. Like, like, this house got destroyed. Beautiful home. And,
I would imagine.
And watching it was so awesome. And I'll put a link in the description if anyone does want to watch it.
That would be fun to watch.
It's pretty cool.
I'm not huge into the Twitch streaming stuff, but that would be fun to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was awesome because they're all SWAT geared up, helmets, just strapped up, ready to go, and then they've probably got like 30 people constantly filming. That way they can post it live to their Twitch. But it was pretty awesome. It was pretty cool.
SWAT gear because they hurt. Paintballs hurt.
Oh yeah, I love paintball. It's good, great fun, great fun.
I watched it I went to them like in 2016, something like that. Yeah, they hurt. When they hit you, they really hurt.
Yeah.
And even like sometimes they can still hit your head, even if as long as they don't hit your eyes, it's all good. Yeah, it hurts.
yeah. I've been blasted with paintball. I've been hitting every part of the body. I've been hitting fingertips, ass, ankles, temples, neck. I've been blasted with paintball. I love it, to be honest. I think it's fun. Even getting shot with a paintball gun. I usually got so much adrenaline, and I'm usually trying to take over someone else's base so intensely that I can let them bounce off me. I don't feel it.
I had that the first time. So the first time I got shot, it bounced off. Mm-hmm. So because my dad used to do it, and he used to like have. I think our neighbor did it as well. So like he'd give us like spare paintballs he had. Mm-hmm. So we used to throw them at each other.
Yeah.
But when I first got hit, because I'd heard my whole life, it is painful, be warned. Mm-hmm. The first one, I think it hit me on the shoulder and it bounced off. Mm-hmm. That's not so bad. Like, what are they talking about? And then later in the day, it splattered.
Yeah,
yeah, it hurt.
Yeah,
it leaves a bruise, but that one that bounced off, felt like nothing.
It's funny because usually when they bounce off, they actually hurt less. So
they don't. Yeah, it didn't hurt that at all.
Yeah. No, sorry. I'm paraphrasing. Usually when they bounce off, they're meant to hurt more.
Oh right.
So it's funny how sometimes they actually don't. But I want to get back to, because we're going a bit off topic. I'm very curious as to international studies. So. Yeah. What was your first reason to get into that?
Because that was the one that Macquarie offered me.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I finished school, and Miss Painter pulled me in. She was like,
"Shout out to Mrs. Painter!"
Yeah,
wow.
Miss Painter, yeah.
Wow.
She's pissed off because I was pretty devoted to school and doing okay. And I hadn't put you were supposed to put 3 unis you wanted to go to and something like that, and I hadn't done anything. So she's like, "Well, what are you interested in?" She sat me down. She showed me the ones that she thought I'd be interested in, but I just wanted to get through the HSC. I wasn't thinking about the university so much, and I got an offer from Western Sydney, and then I was like, "Oh, this is great." I was in Foster at the time. They don't have good reception up there. Mm-hmm. Foster's, my grandparents didn't have internet at the time, so I'd have to go walk to the beach, which sucks to be me. So I went there earlier in the day and called my mom, and she cried. She was so happy because I had really bad dyslexia when I was younger. So for me, they actually said when I was a kid, because I had really bad ADD and focusing in class was not easy for me. They said. They most likely won't be able to complete high school. Wow. And then I was getting offers to uni, so.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I proved them wrong.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had a therapist that really helped me learn how to read and focus. So around year 11 and 12, especially under Mr. Laffin, I really learned how to study and focus.
Mr. Laffin, I don't remember if I remember that man.
He was the history teacher. I think he's got
he was there when I left. I didn't meet him.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Yeah.
But he, yeah, like I got the Western Sydney. Funnily enough, I sent one to ACU, and like that was like the easiest one to get into, like the lowest ATAR. And this was they still hadn't finished marking the exams. I still don't know my ATAR now
Oh wow.
because I never
Is
checked
that
it.
by choice?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
checked it because I was I had an offer from Western Sydney like when it was still being marked, and then later in the day I got one from Macquarie.
Mm-hmm.
And like my parents, I think my dad went there. I don't know about my mum, but my family, my cousin was going there who just graduated. So like it's kind of a family connection. Like even my brother now goes there after years. My cousin goes there. My other cousin. Um, so yeah, there's like a bit of a family tradition of Macquarie.
Yeah, cool.
They don't give us a scholarship though.
Yeah, fuckers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You need to get onto that Macquarie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my son won't be going there if I
Yeah.
if I have a son.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had the offers like to attend before marking was started. So never bothered checking because you know it gave me so much pain, it gave me so much stress worrying about this fucking ATAR and just based on the fact that I think it was a good school and I had okay grades and I performed well. You know, and also none of them are like they weren't like was it UCU or something? The really top, you know, universities. They're all pretty standard. Macquarie and Western Sydney are not like they're not bad universities, but they're not the most prestigious ones compared to like the Sydney University or the technology one. It's apparently really hard to get into.
For someone like me, I'm year 10, didn't even complete year 10. I just got straight into a trade. All university talk for me is just foreign language. Like I didn't even know that we had actually different tier for university. I didn't even know some were more elite or elaborate than others. I had no idea.
They both do the same thing. They both teach you, but I think some of them, I think for like the Sydney University, they'll teach like medical stuff, and Macquarie doesn't so much do that. A lot of it's got to do with what's affordable, and if they're really in expensive areas, then they're gonna be able to hire more expensive teachers and get more students that are more likely to get into.
Oh, so they cost different money.
Yeah,
Different
yeah,
universities
yeah.
for the same courses.
I don't know about the same courses, but yeah, I don't know if they'd offer what I did at like Sydney University or not. I just yeah, I was just happy to get into uni, and Macquarie is pretty good to get to actually. The metro, yeah, is easily to get to. But yeah, so I started in 2018. I did the Japanese, so I am able to speak and read Japanese.
Fuck, that's sick. So, help me out. So, I think I know how to count to 10. Is this Japanese? Ichi,
Yep.
ni, san, chi, go. Is it uno?
No, that's Spanish.
No, not no. Then Rocco,
Roku. Yeah.
Roku. Is that 6?
Yeah.
Roku.
6.
Something that sounds very similar to Roku. Like
Nana.
what's 7?
I think it's Nana.
No. Okay. What's the rest from 7, 8, 9, 10?
Hati, Q, and Ju.
Okay. So I was never gonna figure that out. Yeah.
So, for like 11 and 12, it's just Juichi. So it's just 10-1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, nice.
To get that, but I am not good at math. So like learning to count in any language is for me is really tough because it takes me a while to figure out.
So would 12 would be like Ju ni?
Yeah.
Fuck. So you just copy that all the way.
Well, I think it's a need you like 2 10s. Oh, that
Okay.
would be for 20 actually.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
then you can just copy that for the whole numerical system.
Yes.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's that one's easy, but the rest is like to learn the because they got the Chinese characters, and learning those isn't so bad, but they have different readings, and like some make sense. Like the first letter is the same, and then the second changes to what you typically read it as. So like, but once you it seems really alien at first, but like when you realize that like they're all basically combined of other characters, they start to make a lot more sense. And like they make more like when you say like for animal it'd be like Doorbots are like moving object, like moving creature.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's
Oh, that is so interesting. So you have like, instead of how we have a different word or sound for every individual thing, this will be like one baseline thing, and then like, say for example, object could be drink bottle, whatever it could be, and then moving object. So would say for example, I'm not saying this 100%, but like drink bottle could be something like drinkable object or something like that. Like paraphrasing it, but
I just call it botaru.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But like that's like when I was looking at especially for like careers. So there's like isha is doctor, and it just literally means like medical, and then sha is like person, or sha person or thing, but or young person is quite literally just like wakamono, like young object, like young thing, young object.
Wow.
So most of the stuff there, it doesn't always make sense, like because it's based on like when they learnt to read and write, they borrowed it from China. They didn't have their own script, so they they always say like, they're like, oh, you speak Japanese, can you understand Chinese? Like, no. Not a word. Because they're so different. But writing, for the Chinese, like I can pick up on a few words, but I won't understand the full meaning because Chinese is written all in Chinese, but in Japan they have like they have 3 scripts, and 2 of them are like only 48 characters, so it's like an alphabet. Very simple to. I mean, it's hard to learn. Yeah, it took me a while, but it's doable.
Yeah. I'd love to learn a language, dude. I love Spanish. Spanish is actually one of my favorite languages.
That's the one I'm learning.
Yeah. Oh, you are learning?
Yes, I'm trying to go to Spain. And I met a guy from California who's like Mexican. So he taught me a bit of Spanish in Japan. I met him in Japan.
Oh, you went to Japan?
Yes, I've been there 3 times.
Oh, fuck, that's awesome. That is so cool. Yeah. Fuck, you like to fucking spread your wings, bro. You're a bit of an explorer. It's awesome.
Yeah, the latest one was planning Greenland, but it's just too expensive. And it's not for everyone, man. It's cold. It's always snowing, and there's no McDonald's either.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, because we were playing on. I think I met some Filipinos in Japan as well, and they wanted to go to Mongolia, and I wouldn't mind going to Mongolia, but the thing is you got to fly through either China or Russia. I don't really want to go to any of those right now.
Yeah.
And there's no McDonald's.
That's cool. Fuck yeah. So run me through international studies. Is Japanese like one of the subjects you learn inside of it?
Yeah, so you have to, for my degree, because there's international relations and there's international studies. I think relations don't have to learn a language.
Yeah.
Studies you have to. So they had Spanish, Italian, French, Japanese, and Croatian for some fucking reason.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, they didn't offer, and Chinese as well. They didn't offer like something like Korean or something like, even though we had a Korean teacher, like she could have taught it, but no, they offered Croatian for some reason. I don't know why they.
Yeah,
it's not to make fun of like Croatia. It's just like most people in that part of the world speak English.
Yeah, and it's such another like versatile language. Croatian.
But you can use it in like Serbia and Bosnia, but like out of all those, like people only really know about Croatia.
And they don't even really get along, to be honest.
No, not a lot. Yeah, not too much.
Yeah.
Even though like they're a lot in common. I think the biggest difference is really just religion. Because Bosnians are Muslim, Croatians are Catholic, and Serbians are Orthodox. But it just comes down to just land disputes because they lived in the same country for over 50 years without. It was pretty good until the end, like until the what we know about that, the Yugoslav wars. Like that's unfortunately. When we think about Yugoslavia, we think about the wars, but up until that point, it was pretty good. From everything I've read, it was pretty nice to live in.
Well, they struggle in that part of the world too because it's not a major economy, so they will strive on things like tourism
Yeah.
So then a lot of Serbs will go over to Croatia to work in the times where it's hot spot for tourism.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like where a lot of dogma and stigma comes to look down on Serbs from Croatians, because they feel like they're depending on them a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Which is such a biased way of living, but it's not my thing. It's nothing to do with me. They can, you know.
Croatia's like the huge travel hotspot. Just really, and if you look at what it was 20, 30 years ago, it's, you know, it's rubble in most of the tourist spots. It's destroyed by the war, but now it's, you know, the big tourist spot is Croatia. And I don't blame them. It looks very beautiful.
Well, it's turning into the new Ibiza. That's what I hear now. A lot of
Yes.
people went to Ibiza in the past to have a good party time, and now it's Croatia.
Yeah, I think it's a bit cheaper in Croatia. I'd imagine it's a bit cheaper because the Slavic part of the world tends to be a bit on the cheaper side because they're usually not the wealthiest parts. But they're picking up, and even Serbia and Belgrade, it's got like a big night party scene, like really big. Like the clubs there at night apparently are like huge, and I imagine that with like you know, you go to Germany or France and they've got a lot more laws in place and the lockout laws, and it's more expensive, and Serbia's just like, fuck it, do whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's
a
a
bit
genius
less
business.
restrictive.
It's a business. It's a genius business move for a country anyway to start having free, open law lockouts, especially for things like nightlife. You know, like that's where Australia's lacking a lot. No one wants to ever come to Australia for the nightlife anymore. There is
the
no
lockout
nightlife.
laws are stupid.
Not even we want
ridiculous.
to. Not even we want to go out and have a good time in Australia.
But then like I thought, because I was reading about, I haven't been to Spain yet, but I was reading about it. And it's like the events at night, they go for a long time. So like the morning, people mostly sleep in. You know, they mostly skip the activities. The morning is like for resting. They say they're not really morning people. You won't see many people outside. They kind of just they sleep in because they were out drinking and partying, having a good time. Because like Spain is apparently really big on the party scene, but I don't know. I haven't been there. But that's the plan, is to go there. With Japan, like, you know, it wasn't too bad because Japan's safe.
Yeah.
And the public transport's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get your rail pass. And so like I went from Tokyo and Kyoto, and then I went up to the northern part at like so far north that you can see Russia.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I went to one town, I can't remember its name. Wakanai. I think it's called Wakanai. And it had the railway, you know, it had the bullet train. It was not the fastest one, but like instead of having to fly there or drive, I was able to catch a bullet train.
Damn.
So, yeah, that's that good. And it's a tiny town. Like there's not a lot going there. There's like deers on the golf courses. Yeah, because I saw a deer like when I was walking to the 7, like get a meal from like a service station. There's like a deer crossing the road.
Yeah, well.
It's like Alaska. Like
Yeah.
it's just like, and there was a bullet train that went there, but there's not a lot of people there, and it's a very quiet part of the world. It's very pretty. It's very cold though if you go there during the winter. But yeah, that was fun to see.
Yeah.
But still had a bullet train.
That's fucking dope, bro. I'd love to go to the way you're painting me this picture of independence and traveling is so out of my, I want to say comfort zone, but it's more like out of my realm of experience. I've been overseas a few times, and it's been to like Thailand, where I've landed in the Denpasar, whatever their main airport is.
Yeah.
And then caught my tuk-tuk straight to fucking Phuket.
Yeah.
And I stayed on the main street of Phuket, and I didn't leave it.
You didn't leave? Oh, there's still things to see though.
But to be, I went to Thailand to get tattoos and party, so I got to experience what I wanted to experience there.
Yeah. That's what when I went to
Bali, when I went to Bali, I landed and I went to Seminyak and Ubud, and it didn't feel like I had much. It was also a different experience. I went with a girlfriend at the time, so I felt like I had to make sure at all times she was safe, so I didn't get to have the free roaming experience of heading out there and things.
Yeah.
It was cool. We got to go across the water and check out like some other island in Indonesia called like something like Sandipa or some. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
but my realm of exploration was very limited to the
Yes.
travel hotspots as well.
Where you were supposed to go.
My one taste of freedom and experience of life was like when I went to Fiji and we were staying in a resort, and then in Fiji everyone drinks kava, like a traditional drink,
Yeah, I've heard
and
of
it's
this.
meant to be like some kind of drug, but to me it did literally nothing.
Right.
Like I didn't experience it. So instead of doing like the traditional resort kava session, everyone, it costs $60, come do a kava with the locals. I met some locals that were working maintenance and they invited me back to their village. So me, my old man, my mate and his old man, we just went on a bus, headed out an hour and a half into some village, and I got to experience how they really lived in another country for the first time. And the floor is connected from the outside to the inside. There's no barrier that stops grass from going inside. You know,
Right.
you got grass all the way through their house, and there's nothing like insulated windows and fucking nothing. It's just like being in an abandoned brick house that has been turned into a home. That's how
Yeah.
it felt like. And yeah, we got to drink kava with these locals, and that was my first experience of being like, fuck, this world has so much more for me to offer.
Off the beaten path.
Yeah, and I the way you're explaining it to me makes me feel like I've got to go out there and I've got to start seeing the world properly, you know.
Yeah, well, it's good, but it's also expensive.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, it sounds great for us now, but you do miss home when you're away, and I know I definitely missed home when I was in Japan. Like I was emailing my parents pretty regularly and talking to my friends, and by the end of it, you're ready to head back.
Yeah.
But
I get that anyway. I get that fucking, if I'm away from home, and to be honest, I use this house, this is my home, but for me it's
Nice house.
sleep. Thank you. It's just to sleep. I
Yeah.
sleep, I edit, and I don't spend any more time here than that. I don't even have a bedroom. I sleep in a guest bedroom because
Right.
this used to be my bedroom.
and it's now
Just had to sacrifice it for the
the dog's
podcast. Yeah, had to sacrifice it. So I don't feel like nowhere to me feels like a proper secure home.
yeah.
But then whenever I'm overseas or I'm away for work, it's like something just like, man, this ain't it. You know,
Yeah.
there's something about the four walls that I sleep in traditionally is that I miss it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm with you. I definitely miss home no matter where I go in the world.
Yeah, I definitely missed it in Wisconsin and Japan, and I imagine when I go to Spain, I'll miss it. It sounds so great for the first week, like fuck yeah, I'm leaving home. But you miss because I didn't drive in Japan, and yeah, I miss driving and just like I miss the familiarity. But then you gotta adjust to like coming back here and realizing like there isn't a vending machine when like for whatever you want, or, like there is in Japan.
Yeah.
Or in America when everything's so much bigger and like open later compared to here. I did miss like that sort of stuff, but yeah, the latest thing is Spain, and I'm a little bit nervous because I've never been to Europe. I like my Spanish is nowhere near as good as my Japanese. Like it's
Oh, well, your Spanish would shit on my Spanish, and I've been trying to fucking learn it for a decade, bro. Like, I suck at it.
it's like with Japan, it feels like a second language. It feels like a part of me is in Japanese now.
Wow.
Yeah, like
Wow.
because I've had it for 5 years, and I used to. They say like think in another language to like make it more yours. I've got a few friends there, and I speak to them in practice in Japanese. Uni friends, a lot of them we speak occasionally. If we don't want someone to know what we're talking about, we'll switch to Japanese, but it's usually English.
That's so cool. Well,
And played games more in Japanese, and just like to practice. Quora, I read the questions in Japanese. I try and read the Japanese news. Some Japanese YouTube. Although the stuff I don't really enjoy, it's not really for me. So yeah. And the other thing was like in the journal, like writing in Japanese a few times. I always get really nervous like writing the Chinese characters because there's like a certain way you have to write them, and I'm used to texting, like I'm used to typing. Like I can read that, but it's writing down. Like even people in Japan struggle with that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna bother.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
realistically speaking, like I'm gonna be writing and reading messages. I'm not gonna be writing an essay and
Yeah.
paper of applying for uni in Japanese. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if so, you've already got all the fundamentals in place. I'm sure you could really learn it if that was your main focus, but it's
Maybe.
not your main focus, you know.
Like calligraphy, they offered at school, at uni, they said there was a class for Chinese calligraphy. I'm like, that sounds so cool, but like, when can you use that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's written in traditional Chinese. Traditional Chinese is, I think it's like classical Chinese. So classical Chinese is like Old English, like it's dead. No one speaks it. I know in Taiwan, like there's like professionals that just a tradition, they write the laws in classical, but no one knows classical. It was something that like the rich learn, and it takes decades like really to fully grasp everything, and it's a bitch to learn.
But isn't there something like, and I'm gonna make this number up, but it's something like fucking
50,000.
20. Okay, good. I was gonna say 50,000, and last second I bitched out. I was gonna say 20.
About 50,000.
50,000 characters.
Some of them are just it's really fun to read about, 'cause some of them are applied to a few certain things like science and medical stuff. It's like what we'd have like the Latin term, they'd have the Chinese term, but that character's just only used there. And there's even like I've seen reports of the ghost kanji, they call it, and it's just misprints in books where in dictionaries where they accidentally create a whole new one, and it's called that because no one knows where it came from, and no one knows, the meaning or the reading of it. It's just, it shows up because it's a typo, basically. It's a misprint.
Yeah, well.
But it's a brand new, entire new character. Because I was looking at, I'm like, what's the rarest one? And they're like, technically the ghost ones, because they're not really, they don't have a use. They don't have a reading because they're made by an accident.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
And do people kind of like use that misprint and they create their own ideology behind it, or do they just be like, this is one that just exists, no one knows what it does, or do people
it's for
try?
nerds.
Okay.
It's for like teachers or scholars. Like,
Yeah.
because that's the only because they know them all. They know the thousands of them. So the regular person would see it and like, oh, I don't know this one. They wouldn't know it's a misprint, because these are just people that have studied it for decades, so they know all the characters. Like they know several thousands.
Wow.
So they're the ones that know about it.
Yeah,
So that's why they know that because like, I don't recognize this one, and maybe it's exciting for them because it's like, oh shit, brand new one,
dude. I can see them just like with one of those boards, you know what I mean, just piecing pieces together. Like, where could this come from?
Yeah, they're just typos.
Yeah.
They'll only show up in one certain textbook or one dictionary, and then the other ones don't have it. It's just.
Imagine the feeling of imagine finding that misprint again, just by coincidence, and being like, fuck, it is real, bro. It's real. Yeah, that's awesome. Fuck yeah. So what's the experience like being in Japan, and what's the differences between for starters, what's it like with interacting with people? Are they different than, say, a Japanese person came to Australia?
Yeah.
Realistically, no one cares. Like, realistically,
Yeah.
I'm speaking for the average person, but like,
Because it's so diverse.
whatever, it's so diverse. But in Japan, I can imagine it'd be different being a white person.
Yeah, I guess depends where you are. Like in Tokyo and Kyoto, Osaka, like you'll see white people, but up north, yeah, I got stared at a lot, and they were and then when you speak Japanese to them, they're like shocked.
Yeah, that would be a trip out.
Like I went to one convenience store, and the guy was like blown away.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, to mess with people to
Yeah.
they think you're completely oblivious. Like they look at you like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
So there's not parts people usually go to. I think I was the only foreigner at a lot of the hotels I went up to when I went north. I might have been the only foreigner. They didn't see many. I think there's a big ski lodge hotel in Akita I stayed at, and I think I was the only one there. Yeah.
Well.
I might have been. I think there was some more as time went by, maybe, I think. But yeah, as far as I know, I might have been the only one there. That's how I met my mate, because we were both going to an island. We had to get up at like 5 a.m. to catch the ferry. And he was like shocked to see a white dude. 'Cause they want to practice English.
Yeah.
And we're exotic, they get photos, like they take photos with you, and I think it's like the show off. Like, hey, look who I saw the other
Yeah,
day. Like,
yeah.
no, I don't mind. I don't
Well,
mind at all.
I noticed that when I went to Bali, I went across to I can't even remember what it was called. I'll have to refresh my memory and Google it. But we caught a boat, I believe it was, over the water to a different island, and these people do not see white people, like,
Very
because
often, no.
this island that we went to on that day, it was an excursion day for a bunch of other Indonesian islands. So a bunch of school kids were coming to this one island, and it was very religious and spiritual to see this one temple, and they had all this backstory behind it and all this ancient mythology. And basically, this one little girl, she ran up to me and she just pulled on me, and she's like, "Excuse me, like, can I get a photo with you?" And I'm just like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
sure.
yeah, no worries." Like, get a photo, and then she went, blah, 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 and then fucking
They all
all
came
these
over.
fucking little kids, bro, they ran over, and I'm like, fuck yeah, you know, it's cool. You get like a taste of being like a celebrity almost. Like you feel special, you know, because it's like they've never seen a white man before. They
No.
straight up haven't. It'd be
No.
like there's no culture in this planet that I feel like I've never seen in real life.
Yeah.
And it's one of the beauties of being in Australia, but it's also I'll never have that. I'll never have that feeling unless obviously I seen an actual celebrity. Like
Oh yeah.
I imagine fucking Joe
They're-
Rogan or Snoop Dogg or
Yeah.
Shaq or something comes.
They're exotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I've had I think when I was in Japan, I went to the Golden Temple, and I was walking around, and I saw like the school kids taking a photo, and I read the guy's headband said, like, I think it said Maji. That means like serious, like devout. I don't know. I don't really. And Maji in slang is like how we'd say like are you fucking serious?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
my dad
yeah,
would say
yeah.
that to me.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
picked up on a few words when we were there, and I think I'm in like some random Japanese high school's photo album. 'Cause, like I got
That's cool,
they asked
eh?
for a photo with me
Yeah.
and the school kids, because like the kids will come up and they want us to practice their English. You know, they'll speak English to you. So yeah, I had that a lot, but it's tough for me because I want to practice my Japanese, and they want to fucking talk to me in English.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met a few guys there. One of them, his name was Shuhei. He gets around, man. He travels a lot. Like he was, I can't ever get a hold of a guy because he's always some fucking other part of the world.
Yeah.
He's been to more exotic places than me. Like he was in, where was he recently? I think Vanuatu and Fiji, and Indonesia, Bali, and then earlier he was in Romania and Bulgaria.
Well.
Yeah, people that like I know about these places because I love geography, but that's not places people go to very often.
Yeah.
So he wanted to see like the old, I think it was like a Soviet or communist memorial in Bulgaria. So he went out and he saw it. Like he just whatever he wants to do, and then he said to me, he's like, "I want to go to New Guinea," and I was just like, "Don't go to New Guinea."
Yeah.
Like if especially if you're Japanese, like don't go to New Guinea,
Yeah, that's for sure.
because the guy I look after for work,
Yeah.
he was in the Navy. So when New Guinea was part of Australia, like it was a territory, that they went there, and so there was like he's got like lots of stories about. It. He said that, like it's very dangerous, and there was like there's now only 2 paved roads. The other part of the New Guinea is the same as it was before. Like they're just tribes. The only difference is some of them now like make their own guns, and now they're saying like the tribal warfare before. It was like initiation because it was like using traditional weapons like spears, and they'd hurt each other, like they'd beat each other up, but it was like for fun, rival tribes, one would go over and they'd steal like cattle, and the other one would come back and steal it back. But now with the guns, it's gotten deadly. So it's like we kind of made their lives worse.
Yeah.
And they're like, "I'll just stop selling them guns." It's like that doesn't matter. Like they make them. They showed them like made a gun out of like a frying pan. Like they make them. They know how to make them. Like they're not stupid. They figured out how to make their own guns and ammo.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just one tribe.
One of my mates went on a cruise. Jaden McCulley, shout out to you, Jaden McCulley, and he was telling me that when he went there,
He went to New Guinea.
Yeah,
Wow.
or Papua New Guinea. I'm pretty sure it was. And they were saying that like, I think when they went there, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain it was Papua New Guinea. when they went there, they were saying like they came on to the boat, or the locals, or when they got off the boat, and they were basically like keeping their eye out to see if there was any Japanese people on the cruise.
Right.
And it was because they had bad blood, you know,
Yeah.
very bad blood.
Yeah.
So I think that your mate that wants to go over to
Yeah, I told him not
Portuguese,
to.
yeah, I'd be careful.
Because
Yeah.
he knows about, he actually is one of the few that is really apologetic about, because they don't really talk about it over there. It really annoys me that they kind of don't really acknowledge it, what happened in the war that much. But he knows about it. Like he's different, like to most people there. He's not that as bad. It's just like, yeah, he knows about. He gets frustrated with it. He knows all about it.
Well, it's a difficult thing. Let's talk on that for a bit, because when it comes to a tragedy that has been had that happened post generation, so
Yes.
I see, for example, and this might not be politically correct to say, but when I believe it was Kevin Rudd was our Prime Minister, he went out and made a formal apology to the Aboriginal people
Yes.
of Australia. And I'm going to just say that I don't think that it was his right to apologise on behalf of everyone else, because I'm not sorry for anything I've done. I don't think I should ever feel sorry for anything I've done because I didn't do it.
Yes.
I think it's a shame that people had to go through what they went through, but it doesn't mean that I should be sorry for it.
Yeah.
I can be apologetic, but I don't, even using that word apologetic, I feel like it's too dangerous of a word because it helps put the blame on me. So then there's a lot of miscommunication between some Aboriginal people and some white people who are going, I'm sorry, and them saying, your sorry isn't worth it. And I think that if another country like, say for example, America and Vietnam, America did some tragedies in Vietnam, and I believe that the entire planet learns from their mistakes. I don't believe that every American that goes over to Vietnam needs to be apologetic, because Vietnam has, in sense, gotten over it.
Yeah.
You know, and they welcome them with open arms.
Well, one part of Vietnam they were fighting with, not
Yeah,
against. They
yeah.
were fighting, like, and they probably helped them out a little bit.
They definitely did, but they also definitely did a lot of war crimes.
Yeah, they did a lot of really bad shit.
Yeah.
I think they dropped more bombs around like Laos and Cambodia
Mm-hmm.
than they did during the entire Second World War.
Yeah,
During
yeah.
these jungle runs.
And I think that, say, for example, if people in Japan were apologetic for the acts of their ancestors towards anything that happened during any of the world wars, then it would create the next generation of people to have an understanding of, like, okay, yes, you're apologetic, then yes, we're going to need to forgive you. But there's no need for them to be apologetic, and there's no need for us to forgive them, because there's no relation between our new generation of people.
True.
I think
my big point would be just that they know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously, like, yeah, I would agree with that. I don't really my grandparents, both of them came from like orphan backgrounds. It's like I don't know what any of my ancestors get up to if we were, if we
wow, that's
went
so
after.
crazy that
Yeah.
both your parents come from orphans.
So grandpa, my dad's father was raised in an orphanage, and then my mum's pop was raised by his father, but his father came from an orphanage.
Mm.
Who apparently is a bit of a dick as well, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so is my granddad's kind of grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when it comes to the whole like previous conflict, I just want them to at least know about it. The main thing there is they don't include it in textbooks. They don't acknowledge it. Even I had an argument with someone because do you remember when someone defaced an Anzac memorial? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it was across the road from the church out of Windsor,
Mhm.
my way, and I had an argument with someone because he was like, "Oh, it's true," and it's just like you guys don't realize that Aboriginals were part of the Anzacs
Mm-hmm.
as well, and it's kind of our the fault of not recording it, like they're not acknowledging it. But yeah, there were Anzacs and they call it the Frontiers War, but like when you look into it, it's a really big conflict and there's many sides, and there was actually white people fighting alongside the Aboriginals because they formed their own communities, and there was rival Aboriginal tribes, fighting on behalf of the white people. It's really complicated, and it's nowhere near as simplified as they want to make it out to be. There was even like the Aboriginal bush police, and they would, they'd go out and they'd arrest Aboriginals that were wanted for whatever reason. But they, I can't remember what they're called. Maybe I think they were just bush rangers. I can't remember the actual term, but they were, the best trackers for the job because they knew the land, but they were also Aboriginal as well. So it's really not simple at all. It's a really big conflict. It's like any other. People aren't simple, and it's a big conflict to digest. And there's a lot of different sides, a lot of different like ideologies, people backgrounds, convicts or forming their own groups with Aboriginals because they were both seen as the lowest of the low. Convicts came here, and the when they do the apology stuff, there were Aboriginals that attacked white settlements as well and attacked white people. Like I wouldn't justify on any side, but it wasn't that they were completely innocent. They also fought back, and they seemed to glorify that. But in the SBS, like I've seen a lot on SBS, they seem to glorify it. And
dude, ABC and SBS, they're both
yes.
they're both predominant in just accepting an entire blame for a part of Australian culture, and
Yes.
we'll just steer away from like Japan and the rest of the world's problems for a bit, but like you can't paraphrase things so simple as you're putting it. You can't, and I'm not saying that like bad shit. Yeah, I'm not saying bad shit didn't happen. It's a great way to put it. Bad shit happened across the entire planet, and locally, it's just as horrendous. But you can't blame a group of people today for a bunch of shit that happened to a group of people 100 years ago.
Yeah, but the thing is that a lot of the attacks against the white settlements, or like the more isolated settlements, they were convicts, and they were people that were raised in poverty. Like they make them out as if they were all murderers and thieves. No, you got hung for that. They were trying to get rid of when more people were moving to cities, they were getting rid of the people that stole, and that's why they were sent over for, like stealing a loaf of bread or stealing a spoon at whatever age you were. It was to they were trying to get people not to do that, and the prisons were getting full. But like no, a lot of them weren't murderers or rapists or the worst of the worst. They got killed. They were executed. They were hung. It's not like today now where like we got big prisons, but the prisons were filling up. And that's a lot of the convicts. A lot of them may have just been poor, like farmers that moved to the city and couldn't get in their way. It could have been anything, but they were not able to go back home, and so they were stuck in a foreign land, and they had to make life on their own after they were free with being convict, and starting their own life. And a lot of the time they were targets for Aboriginal attacks. But it was what may have been Aboriginal hunting ground was now a guy's house. So there's a lot of factors for it, but a lot of the people targeted, a lot of the people that came over were working class people. They weren't criminals like in the traditional sense. They just were people trying to survive.
And it's not even like they came here to take over a nation. They didn't come here with the intent to make this their home. They were sent here by force.
They were brought
that's an
over,
important thing.
They couldn't go back home. They couldn't afford it. And it's also dangerous as well on the seas. Like even travel now is dangerous. You can imagine it takes several months to go there. Could be a shipwreck or a storm, or anything could happen. So it's they just made life here. They tried to start life here, and maybe they would have been hostile to the Aboriginals. Maybe they never saw them, but it's hard to say. Like, but they say convicts, but really they were just like low, very, very low caste criminals. I wouldn't even call it like criminal so much. Like, for example, like what would have got me sent there, I know it's like a bit like exaggerated, but like I went to Coles, and they got the macarons. So what you're supposed to do is you say how many you've got in the packet, but there's no the packets don't have a barcode on it. So like I walked out, I paid for everything else, but I walked out and I hadn't paid for the macarons, and I forgot about it. Honest to God, I forgot to pay for it.
Yeah.
But like, I stole. So
Yeah.
it would have got me sent over.
Oh, dude, I'm the angel, bro. You think that's nothing, dude? I'm the angel. I've literally stolen 1,000,000 times from supermarkets just for the sheer fact of not thinking. Like, I just did it because I wanted, especially when I was younger, I just was hungry. I wanted something to eat. I didn't think about consequences. I didn't think about what was right and what's wrong. I'm just like, I want a fucking cheese and bacon roll. I'm just gonna grab the cheese and bacon roll. Hopefully, no one sees me take it. You know, like I was no angel, no way. So of course, I could see myself becoming born in the wrong time zone and era, and just suffering the consequences of it.
And yeah, it's funny yesterday because out in Wollongong, there's a lot of funny characters. They say like, oh, it's the most beautiful area, but they never talk about like the amount of bogans and junkies.
Yeah.
Like I walk past them all the time, and they're always in the same spot. And I do the return and earn thing, so like I'm kind of happy to see them because like they always leave a box full of like empty cans and bowls, and they just leave it where they were, and at least they put it in the box.
Yeah.
So like I'm like, fuck it, I just take the box with me.
Yeah.
And I get a free box as well. Along with like whatever's there, and I just like to see it as cleaning up the place a bit. But I'll just walk home with that, or walk to my car and take it back. Like even in the shopping center yesterday, there was just like a mandarin like ripped in half, and like they'd only taken 2 peelings out. Like, they didn't even take the whole thing. Like they just took like 1 or 2 slices. I'm like, if you're gonna like steal from the store, like rip open the mandarin, at least take like all of it. What was the point of just nabbing a few slices?
Yeah, I work at Coles at the moment, so I see what gets stolen and what doesn't, and it's funny because you see people will just open something up and just chuck it up on top of a fridge or a case or a shelf or whatever, so they never get caught. And yeah, the amount of stuff you see, like the weird things, like someone take a bite out of an apple and chuck it up there, you know what I mean? Like just fucking eat the apple, dude.
I felt bad yesterday because like I opened like my water bottle. I paid for it, but like I was really thirsty, and before we got to the checkout, I just started drinking from like, am I allowed to do this?
Oh, I do it every day. I do it all the time.
Pretty sure you can, because like I've seen people eat in the store as long as you pay for it.
Yeah. It's technically because you actually cannot be in trouble for stealing or eating anything until you leave without paying for it. That's the Australian law. You could literally fill up a backpack full of stuff and stand at the front door, and they can't do anything. You know, it's not until you leave the store that you've actually committed any crimes.
Right.
You haven't done anything wrong. Yeah. I want to circle back. We had a nice little conversation off camera for everyone. Yeah. Sorry about the little pause.
It was a drug deal.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm still interested in international studies, and I don't get me wrong, I'm loving how the conversations are steering off.
Everything's I'm an open book.
Yeah.
On the social medias, like I don't like social media, so I don't really post all that much on it. But when I talk to someone, like I'm an open book.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. So Japanese language is one of the semesters, or what do you call them, courses inside?
So
what are some of the other ones that you learn?
I've done like all sorts of shit from like hieroglyphics to antiquity.
Whoa.
Okay, so I thought it was a history class, but it was a hieroglyphics class. And I hated it because it's like, but I already bought the textbook, so I had to do it. I can't remember like all I can remember is like hunket, like beer. So like you don't learn sentences or anything. Like you go through your textbook and then you translate stuff, and they teach you like the grammar and how it works, and it's easy when you have the textbook. But like I was learning Japanese at the time as well, so like it wasn't ideal.
And hieroglyphics, is it from a certain part of the world?
From Egyptian Middle Kingdom Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Middle Kingdom Egyptian, and do you learn about how people learned to transcribe them originally, or is it just this is what the transcription is?
Yeah, that was the transcription.
Okay.
Because
that's interesting. I'd love to know how anyone was able to ever piece together a story and translate it into a language.
So they found the Rosetta Stone, because for the longest of time it was a mystery. We lost how to read it, but the Rosetta Stone had a Greek and Latin transcriptions of what it said in Egyptian. So we had one actually at school, a small one. It's tiny. But the real thing is fucking huge. It's an actual stone. Like it's a really big
to write
on. And so like that was when they first started translating it, and they had to go through all that, and we still don't quite understand. Like we'll never exactly know how they spoke.
Because even today they have disputes on what they believe certain things actually mean.
Yeah, we'll never really know for sure, but we grasp from like how it's changed over time, like how they may have pronounced things instead, and yeah. So even now it's a mystery, but to like type it was because you did a quiz online, and you wouldn't. So the way they wrote it, like way we type it, is because we don't have the Egyptian hieroglyphics on the keyboard. What you would do is you type like they give you a sheet and it's got like the feather is a H, or so you'd write like HN.K2T. So it makes like no sense, but it's more like it's a code.
Okay.
So it's more like a code. That was how you
How could a
transcribed it.
feather even be a H? Like, how could that even
That's just how they
make
pronounced
sense?
it. And then one of them, it's funny actually, because
Wow.
some of the ones were funny. One of them's a doodle with like sperm coming out of it.
Yeah.
So like that's actually like one thing someone had described that down.
Yeah.
It's like meanings like fertility.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I always just gotta laugh at it, seeing it in the
Yeah.
textbook. But I still have it, but like it's not. Yeah, it wasn't terribly useful to do, but it was a good class. Like I met a good friend there. But yeah, I thought it was a history class, not a language. But I already bought the textbook, so I had to go and do it anyway. I wouldn't do it again, but I'm kind of glad I did it. But I've mostly forgotten everything because I didn't do. I was doing Japanese at the time. Like that was my main focus.
Yeah.
Was to learn Japanese. So like I could only, don't do two languages at once.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like dead, not spoken. But it was funny when I was playing like an Assassin's Creed Origins. That one's in Egypt, and like some of them like I can recognize them. Like, oh, that's an E or an H. Like,
Oh, that's cool.
don't know what it says, but like I know that symbol.
Yeah.
And now that's all gone. Like mostly, I've mostly forgotten it.
So, do you ever want to go to Egypt?
I've thought about it, but like from everything I've seen, it's not great. Because I think the tourist industry there was like decimated by the COVID stuff. But like there's videos on there about a cooking channel that went there, and the way they treated them, like the security were like atrocious. Like they took his drone, they made them like unpack the bags, everything, like at every stop, and they were asking about like he had like a mat, like an exercise mat, and like the bars on it, and like what's this used for? Is this a military item? Like they were really suspicious, they were really paranoid, and they constantly pulled them over, and they had permits to film, so they were legally allowed to be there. And really, they're doing a good thing, they're bringing money over, like they're paying for it, and they're also like bringing attention to like street food. So they end up just leaving. Like the footage that they had to delete all the footage, but he saved it to his cloud, so he had someone else have it. Like it was a full professional production, but yeah, he said until things get better, don't go to Egypt.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I watched like a Nigerian bloke, and he said like there were flies everywhere, and like there's people like begging, like it's really hard to like get anything done there. So like yeah, I don't think I'll be going to not until things get better. No. And it's always been like a dream. I've always wanted to go there, but yeah, look, until things get better with Egypt, I don't think I'll go there anytime soon, sadly.
Well, that's a good key note. I'll note that down mentally too. Because I'll go. I'm going. I just haven't decided when I'm going.
Yeah.
So I'll give it some time. But I've noticed in other countries that COVID really affected a lot of places. Because to think of someone that survives on tourism is not something that you can easily grasp your head around until you've seen it for yourself. And Bali was one example for me of like, wow, they're fucked without tourism.
Without tourism, yeah.
Yeah.
And even like what you were saying about Fiji, like the small hut, like a lot of people do live in poverty. I would call it poverty, and that's just how they live there, and it is very dependent on tourist money because the Fiji dollar is really only useful in Fiji.
Yeah.
Even in Cambodia, when we went there for missionary trips for school, we used US dollars, because it's like everyone accepts the US dollars. And it's like their system of like currency is like the exchange rate's not good.
Yeah.
And it's like you'll have thousands of notes. So you just use American dollars.
Yeah. I don't know. I could go on and on about how fucking COVID ruined the world for a long time, but I want to try and avoid it.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough time.
I'll put a line in the sand when it comes to that. One thing you might be able to help me out too, because I do really want to learn a language, and I'm going to stick with Spanish.
Yeah.
I find the language to be beautiful in a sense that you speak to men and women indifferently.
Yes.
Not just with senor and senora, like that's Mr. and Mrs. almost in a way, but you address people differently.
Yes, yeah, and the words are different as well. Like the A will be an O if it's a woman or a man.
Yeah, which
like
is
that.
dope. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
think it's
That's
cool.
very cool.
A bit of an annoying thing to constantly remind yourself because we don't really have it in English.
Yeah.
But it's pretty easy to pick up on, like, because you got you say the la, and then you assume like, if it's kitchen, like cocina, like la cocina. I do make the occasional mistake with it, but still learning, of course. But yeah, it is a very beautiful language.
Mm-hmm. And my question is, how would you recommend someone like me to go ahead and learn a language now that you've learnt one like Japanese so well, and it took the literal education process to be able to do that? How could someone like me learn a language without having to go to study? Because I don't have the time to be able to do that.
Don't be too harsh on yourself if you make a mistake. Because the main thing is, when I was started, because Japanese was tough and it was very different to English, and they said to us from the start, it's okay to make mistakes. It's a bit intimidating because you're graded at uni, but with if you learn by yourself, like I find that with Spanish, that just it's been a little bit easier for me than Japanese, but I did really struggle with Spanish. I'm still learning. The main things that I did was like reading stuff in Spanish, and I had my friend from Spain, and I have books, like my textbooks, to read through, and I found like a meme from like Spain, like a story, and I started listening to that, and that one was a bit harder because the guy there is like Andalusian, like he's got a very thick accent compared to standard Spanish, so like the main thing is the textbooks. Textbooks, and reading.
Are you learning Spanish through university, or are you just learning it on your own?
On my own. And apps. Speakly is really good. Yeah, Speakly. Duolingo is okay. Depends on the language. Like with Japanese, for Duolingo, they assume you already know the alphabet. Which is weird because like when you learn Russian on there, like they teach you the alphabet, but it's not that hard to, because I can read the Russian like alphabet, like the Cyrillic. I can read that. I don't know Russian, but like I can read it. It wasn't that hard to learn. Like I learned in high school when someone said that it wasn't too bad, but compared to like Japanese, that was completely different. That was a fucking nightmare.
Okay.
I actually had like legit anxiety and like some like sadness. I was like, I wish I was better at it.
Yeah.
Because I failed it at first. I had to redo it. In my first year, I failed pretty bad. That was just like first semester of uni. It was a really rough adjustment period. And so like I had to do it again. Originally, I was actually considering switching to French. I was actually going to start studying French instead. But I stuck with Japanese when I found out you could redo it again. And I'm glad I did. But it was tough. Yeah, it was really hard.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's good to know that it's doable.
Oh yeah.
Through
they say
I'll grab myself a textbook.
Yeah.
I'll download Speakly, and I will put a link in the description. So not only can everyone else get it, but I will remember to do it as well.
I really like Speakly. I've used a few language apps, and I've also had like a university education as well. Not that it's in a superior one, but it's it's a very thorough one where they'll teach you like not only the conversational stuff, but they'll teach you like the harder stuff, of course. So that was really good. Like I wouldn't recommend anyone learn like Chinese or Korean or Japanese like by themselves. I'd recommend a tutor or an instructor, because it's just that different and that difficult that I can't imagine like learning Japanese without a native speaker. Like by myself, it'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be a difficult one. That's one that I'm not going to focus.
Yeah, Spanish though you're fine because there's a lot of words in common with Spanish with English. It's not too bad to.
Oh well, you can see I love the fact that you can see the similarities in Spanish. Just like a word like por favor, like
Yeah.
to be like,
Ask for a favor.
yeah, like please, you know,
Yeah.
almost like you can hear it, and like permiso, which is like excuse me, like, but it's almost like saying permission,
Yeah.
permission to speak to you, you know.
Kind of get the idea of you don't get that with Japanese.
Yeah, yeah,
It's way different. But with Spanish, yeah, it was great, and then like
Even
like favorito. Like,
yeah. Even like grateful, like it would be like gracias, and
Yeah.
like which is thank you, and you can like even normal words like airport being el preto, and like
Yes.
everything can relate, and it's not that hard. Like sir is senor, you know, like
Yeah.
it's so common, but it's like speaking our language but added some flavor to it, you know.
Or car, like coche.
Yeah,
Or like coach.
yeah,
Like
coach.
like stagecoach or
Yeah.
that sort of
That's
stuff.
fucking so cool, dude. I
Yeah,
fucking
you kind of
you're
grasp.
making me excited to learn it again. Yeah.
So far, like I've picked up on my few favorite words. I don't know why, but it's like narajo, like orange tree.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
Nothing too
That's cool.
exciting. It's just I like the way it says. Like they did say, like I saw it on the Spanish radio. The guy's like, oh, is narajo.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, that's a funny word. It's a
Yeah.
fun word, narajo.
I like it's like that reminds me of nosotros, which is like they. I'm pretty sure they. Yeah. That's one of my
Nosotros.
favorite words, nosotros.
Yeah.
That's just a dope word for saying they.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful. I'm really struggling with R's. Rolling R's is going to be a struggle of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like
I love practicing R's. I just imagine there's a D after every R. You know, like
Rr.
rr.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
a lot of my friends are Indian, so I like picking apart some of their words too, and they
Yeah.
are exactly the same. R's are D's. That's the way I think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the J is a H. Like
Mm.
yeah, it's a beautiful one. And the guy I look after, he's got a lady that comes in that does like cooking lessons. Like they make cooking recipes to make him, eat healthier. He has been eating healthier. He's actually lost weight, and I kept saying that to everyone, and they kept saying like, "Oh, we'll have to wait and see. We have to wait until he gets weight." And but I kept saying like, I reckon I'm like, he's lost weight, and I was telling him that, and he's like, "Oh, we'll wait and see," and he had. So I was right all this time. The whole time I was right
Yeah.
that he'd lost weight. So yeah, he's been eating healthier. But this lady, she comes in and she teaches. She's Italian, and so like when she speaks Italian, I kind of grasp a little bit. I pick up on a bit, like when I do hear Italian, even Spanish. Like I can't understand the full sentence yet. Maybe pick up on a few words. Still learning.
Yeah, I like watching a movie that might have a bit of Spanish in it, like even because Mexican's very similar to Spanish. It's very, very similar, but it's not the same. So I'm trying, when I watch a movie that they speak in Mexican, it's like, oh, I kind of think I understand what that was.
Yeah.
You know?
But the main ones are Argentinian and Chilean is really tough. Chile, they speak really fast. I think it's Chile that speak fast at. And Argentina actually has a lot of Italian influence. A lot of Italians. I think there's people there are more likely to have Italian than Spanish ancestry, or have more Italian ancestry. So their Spanish is a lot more different. Like I think like they say like with a Y, they say J instead. Like my name is like mi llamo, I think we say, and then but they also say mi llamo. So they have that on Speakly, and I think it's really clever because I wish they'd tell you that that's just how in South America, because Spanish in Spain, Castilian is seen as the pure Spanish. They don't have the difference in dialect that they have in. But the thing is, with the South Americans, Spanish, people from Andalusia, they went to Spain. They went to South America. So Andalusian Spanish is more influential on the Spanish they speak there than Castilian, which is
So you
old
know
Spanish.
way more than me when it comes to anything like this. I'm not familiar with anything. I thought, I know a little bit of Spanish, but I don't know any of the historical geography about it, where
You'll
things come
understand each
from.
other. Like they say like you'll understand. I've never had anyone tell me that they have. It's not like Arabic where different Arabic dialects are like basically different languages.
Yeah.
Well, they can't understand each other because it's old history whatnot. But with Spanish, like I've never had anyone tell me like they have too much trouble understanding. They can always communicate because like my Mexican friend spoke to someone from Spain and they understood each other just fine. It's like they may have a different accent, different dialect, but it's like English.
Yeah.
We can understand.
It's basically like someone from England coming and speaking to someone from Australia. Like,
we can understand each other just fine, unless they're like Northern England. Then it's tough.
Yeah.
We had to watch like Billy Elliot for school, and they had to it was almost needing subtitles, man. Like they've got a thick accent. Man. They've got really strong, and it's like, oh, that's my language.
Yeah.
But even America, the people in Wisconsin, they think that they have trouble understanding us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Americans do.
Yeah, Australia is not even close to the same.
Yeah, we talk really fast.
We make up our own words for everything. That's why I love Australian language. Australian language is actually very individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have our
own. The older I get, the more I notice that I'm starting to become more interested in things like, self-help books and, political opinions and education.
There's a few there, like The Power of More, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, that one. That one's really popular. I think a lot of people have that.
I haven't read that one yet. Those few ones there that are on the shelf have been completed. I just started today Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. It's
good to see. It's good to see someone reading.
Thank you.
More people should read.
Oh, 100%, dude. Yeah. It's increasing my growth for knowledge more than anything. Yeah. It's not really fulfilling my grasp for knowledge. It's expanding my grasp for knowledge.
It's so good to see someone reading, I try and read. I'm always reading something, man. But also like YouTube fills in as well. If I'm interested in a random topic, there's like a 15-minute video on it that gives me like an idea. And Wikipedia is like my best friend. Like I know Wikipedia is not the definitive thing, but I just love to, because it's just quick to grab a few bits of information. You just quickly look at Wikipedia. I've got the physical books. I need to be in a quiet environment to read that, though. It's really tough for me to not get distracted.
Yeah, reading's a skill above anything else. Not just being able to understand words. That's something that will just happen naturally, but it's the ability to actually read the page and understand the page instead of looking at a page and glancing over the words. Yeah,
and that was when I was struggling to focus on things and I wasn't fully taking things in. It's just you read it, but you don't really understand it. You don't really. It's not going to stick with you. So that's something I had to learn over the years. Is I love to read, I know, but I'm not taking everything in, so I need to take more time. But that's why the audiobooks are good too, man. I'm really enjoying audiobooks. I've got a mate of mine, he's a courier, so he drives a lot, and so there's a lot of the Warhammer books. There's a ton. And so he's got the Audible, he just listens to them on his drive to work because he's dropping off packages. I think that's really great. Yeah. And he doesn't get time to physically read, and I don't think he does. I don't think he enjoys reading physically, but he I reckon he's read more books there than most of the staff at the store, just because of work. He listens to them. I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Sick. I'd love to be able to do audiobooks. Only problem is I'm too fixated on my podcast situations where I can't allow myself to waste time that would be on podcasting, because I've gone back to start Joe Rogan from the beginning.
Right.
And it's it's kind of frustrating that I did it in the beginning, because the new episodes that have come out have been Ice Cube, Duncan Trussell, Theo Von, Tom Segura, all these dope fucking guests. Elon Musk. I've listened to all Elon Musk, unless there was a new one, a brand new Elon Musk one, but I've listened to everything up. I listened to about episode 1200 onwards. I'd pretty much listened to 70% of them. But then the first fucking 1200, I never listened to them. So I've gone back to episode 1. Now I'm on episode 145.
Right.
And I cannot allow myself to listen to the new ones until I catch up. Yeah. So it's I can't waste time in my own head listening to an audiobook, because it's fuck's sake, I just need to get to episode 2000 so bad. So it's cool, but for me, reading's reading, listening's podcasting. When I catch up again, I'll probably supplement reading with audiobooks,
It's up to you, man. There's no wrong way of doing it.
Yeah.
You learn stuff from the podcast as well.
Oh, every day I'm learning.
Yeah. There's the guest Joe has, I haven't seen a whole lot of his stuff, but the point of the Joe Rogan is he's a smart dude, there's no doubt. but like the people he brings in are experts in different fields, and he's just there to learn from them and experience. Like he doesn't necessarily know a lot about the topic, but he's just there to find out more, and you can learn with him. Like as you're sitting there, you're finding stuff out with him.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point, is he's there to learn from them. And that's why I think it's so successful and why he's so popular, is that he doesn't offer his own opinion. If he doesn't know about the subject, he might ask, a few questions, like try to figure things out. But he knows he's not an expert in every topic, but there's no doubt the dude's very talented.
Oh, he's very well knowledgeable because he's so curious.
Yeah, he's very curious.
That's why I find that, like, the first time I ever listened to an episode of him, I just found so much relation between the two of us, because the first time I ever heard him, he was just constantly asking questions and he wasn't really talking.
No,
you know what
he lets
I mean?
them talk.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and I felt like it was me every time he went to ask. I think the first one I ever listened to was Steve-O. I was on a Steve-O path, just listening to all of his interviews and things like that.
Because he's got his own podcast too, doesn't he?
Now he's got Wild Ride, yeah, which is dope, which is fucking so cool.
He's a cool guy, Steve-O.
I love Steve-O, he's awesome. And I remember the first time I ever listened to a Joe Rogan episode, Joe was just asking everything that I would have asked him myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, this is so good, because I'd already listened to all these other people talk about Steve-O, and Steve-O go on their platforms, and it's like, yeah, I've heard this. Yeah, I've heard this. Yeah, I've heard this. It's just Steve-O constantly recounting the same story, because that's what's made him so fucking popular. But now Joe's being like, actually, pause for a sec. Let's dive deeper into that. And I'm like, this is what I fucking needed.
Yeah.
So he's a hero of mine, Joe Rogan. He always will be.
It's different to the H3 podcasts, because
I do like Ethan a little bit, but I also don't.
Watch it in short dosages, because like I was a huge fan of H3 before the podcast.
Yeah.
And now I don't really watch his stuff, like, because Ethan interrupts all the time. He offers his own opinion. He's got a bunch of really bad ones, in my opinion. I think he's said some really stupid things. I wouldn't want to cancel the guy, but I'm just, it makes me wonder if that's what he's always been like, because the videos on previously, they're edited, they're scripted.
Mm-hmm.
They were constructed, but now we've got this guy unhinged, and like, it's him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's not like Joe Rogan where you can like binge it. I think you got to give it space or take time off it, because Ethan is a lot sometimes.
He's not the voice that I like listening to, because it's not. I'd rather someone with an open mind. I feel like, and I'm not bagging on Ethan because he's made his career doing what he's doing, but the one thing that set me off was when he was talking about physical exercise once.
Yeah, who doesn't know shit about physical exercise? Oh, dude.
I heard him saying once, like, if you actually think about it, all the time that you spend running on a treadmill to actually lower to increase your life expectancy has been wasted running on a treadmill. And I heard it and I'm like,
that's not really the case.
That doesn't make sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Someone ended up doing a breakdown. They were like, no, you saved so much life putting in the work.
I mean, the guy's whole like joke originally was the chub and tuck. Like, he's white. He was chubby. He wasn't too fat, but like, had the chin like the fupa, That was the whole joke with the guy. So don't take exercise advice from Ethan. Ethan, I think he's actually lost weight. Like, he's made an effort to lose weight, but generally speaking, the guy's been fat and has had a pretty unhealthy lifestyle. So don't take exercise advice from him.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
It's one of those things on the internet where it's like, I don't think he should be taken off it. He has the right to have a platform just as much as I do.
Yeah, of course.
I think that I just noticed it wasn't the positive mindset that I'm interested in.
No, he comes off as very cynical and like, depressing, like, really, like, a lot darker. It's not always the worst thing, but the guy just always comes off as a cynic. And, that's why it's kind of hard to stomach Ethan a lot of the time. And he's just going to tell you he's unapologetically him, and, like, that's cool, but it's also my decision not to, binge your show. And I was a pretty devout H3 fan, but I've noticed I've just waned interest over the years, and they're going in different paths, and just as long as he stops causing trouble.
Yeah. I noticed he's gotten in a trend lately of actually getting on the platforms with people that he's had arguments with before, and then working out. That's one really important thing that I think the internet's starting to transition towards, and that's ending beef between different people.
That's why it was fun to watch, because we saw the videos of Joey Salads and a few other guys he's had videos on, and then he actually gets to meet them. Probably my favorite were the Bradbury brothers. Those maniacs, and then you hear them on the podcast, and actually pretty reasonable, and even taught Ethan a few things. It's a very different perspective.
Yeah.
And that's what was cool about the original H3 show, is that about the original episodes of the podcast, is that they were people we knew, because if you were a fan of Ethan, then you knew who these guys were.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's fucking dope. Fucking love it. I fucking love the internet, bro. I love the ability. I think podcasting is changing the world. I really do, in a positive way, because it's a dangerous path without it. Without long format conversation and hearing people's proper opinion without being cut up between cutscenes is so important, dude.
And it's like, generally speaking, like there's nothing terribly crazy about the podcast setup itself. All it is just dudes talking.
Yeah.
And it's like very easy to edit. It's low production. It doesn't cost a lot to do. And they bring in millions of views. Joe Rogan's got fanatics, like millions of fans, and each episode, I think each episode gets like at least 1 million.
Way more than that.
Yeah,
it actually
at least 1 million, bare minimum.
There's some that have like, I'm talking from like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Some of them, I'm listening to him from the beginning, and back in 2011, he was averaging 400,000 listeners. In 2011.
Which was pretty big for 2011.
Yeah, that's enormous. Back in the first, I think it was 9 episodes, he'd already become the second most listened to podcast on the iTunes with only 4,000 listeners.
Yeah. Yeah, they're but now there's just like, it's kind of hard to find the good ones because there's just so many.
Yeah.
There's a lot of podcasts because, the trend's caught on. Because like I was saying, it's not hard to do. It's just find something interesting to talk about. And it's one of the ones I like. I don't know if it's necessarily a podcast, but it's just a guy that I think he just pulls people off the street. And one of the ones I saw was like a guy that grew up in Appalachia in the mountains, and he was, as he called himself, like a proper hillbilly. And the really important thing was, because they asked about his life, he's an old man, they leave long pauses so he can think. So he's like able to properly address what he was wanting to talk about. And that's, that sort of stuff. Again, it's just a dude sitting in front of a chair with a bit of film, and it is like an interview. Like in the early days we saw, they were big, the celebrities interviews, but those are all very scripted, and they're only like 5 or 10 minutes long, of the actual footage, of what they actually show. Yeah. And it's kind of exploitive because like he'll say like one somewhat negative thing about someone, and or what could be construed as a negative, and then it becomes the headline of the article.
Yeah. Clickbait. Yeah.
So that's why the podcasts are way better, because it's actual, not fake people, just actual people just having an engagement.
Yeah, I can see the incisive to create clickbait.
Oh yeah.
And my plan for the podcast in the near future is to start expanding to more people that I would have a reach to, like say Australian rappers or political opinions and political heads, and like sports stars and athletes and journalists, anyone who kind of already has a name for themselves. I'm interested in picking apart their brains in the future, because I want to see how they ended up being there. Was it luck? Was it consistency? Was it skill? Was it right place, right time? Like, that's what I want to get towards, and it's going to be hard not to use certain things as clickbait and use that as promotion. But in reality, at the end of the day, I just love talking shit. I love talking shit.
Well, clicks get views. That's just all it is. It's just that's why you look at any show on TV, and it's like for like maybe 15 seconds something dramatic happens, and that'll be the first thing you see on the ads. And it's like that's over like, I don't know, some crap with $1 Million Island. They'll show off, because I watch that at work. I wouldn't watch that in my spare time. It's a shitty Survivor ripoff, if I'm honest. It sucks. they have brief like moments of what's drama, and then that is all they'll show.
Yeah.
The advertisement.
Yeah.
It's what get views.
The business. I'm gonna struggle when it comes to that, because I do genuinely believe in my soul that this will become something that I can retire on. This is going to become my profession. So
I can see that. Yeah.
I appreciate it. So I'm going to try and avoid that way of thinking and that pursuit of my platform. But it's like, how else am I going to get this into a business without creating clicks, without playing the beast of the internet, without playing the Los Angeles game,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard, but it's a fucking, that's just,
Well, that's why
we'll have to
Joe
deal with that as
Rogan's
it comes.
cool. That's why Joe Rogan's cool, because it's just, it's not really always clickbait, really.
Yeah, it's never clickbait.
No.
It's just, he's fortunate enough to be in a position where he knows the most entertaining people without having to create clickbait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one guy I'd like to see, and he's not super well known about. There was like a cringy rap battle. Like, I don't know if you heard of it. Touche's versus Snipes. It's like a.
I
He's
probably would have
Australian.
listened to it. I probably would have.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
Australian out in Brooklyn, Melbourne, and they were, it's. I'll send it to you after
Yeah.
this.
I'll put a link in the description too. Yeah.
It's hard to sit through, because it's like two very young guys like rapping, and it's one of them just fucks it up completely.
Yeah.
But Touche's actually replied to the comment, because I found his YouTube channel, and I would love to see him like be interviewed, because it's like he's completely fine with all that. I was like, because I asked him in the comments on YouTube, I asked him, because he was saying I treat kind of like every comment like a troll, because other YouTubers like Critical made like reaction videos to it, like other people have. That's like in total, it's like gotten at least over millions of views from other people, and I said, like, did the comments bother you? He's like, fuck no, it's a good laugh.
Yeah.
Like, that's
cool.
the best way to do it. Even if you
Yeah.
don't feel that way, just say it, because like, the moment it stops bothering you, like other people are not going to use it, because it's they don't get joy out of it, because it's obviously not bothering you.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him someday get on like a podcast, like even on yours.
Yeah, 100%. I'll
That'd
do
be
it.
funny.
I promise you right now, I'll do that episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like a major rapper or anything. He's just like a guy that did it in his spare time, and a few of the clips, got famous. I don't think it was people appreciating his craft. They're making fun of him. It was but at least compared to others that do it that are genuinely might be really passionate about, and they get no attention. At least he's actually got some form of like attention, some notoriety.
Yeah.
Even if it's maybe not the best, like
Yeah.
not what he expected, but
Yeah.
you can't control what people think about you.
Yeah, you can't. You're just open to the fucking criticism of the world as soon as you press that upload button.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what platform it is. It's like your open ears for everyone to pick you apart.
Well, you're a public figure at that point, no matter how small the YouTube is, because it's and it's true. Like you are a public figure in some way, because I could be watching it in Australia, and I could be watching someone from San Francisco. I wouldn't ever have spoken or seen that person if it weren't for them being publicly out there. So yeah, there's a public figure.
And one thing that's important is it's like this doesn't just relate to mass attention on the internet. This is anyone who just uploads a photo from being in high school.
Yes.
It's like, who gives a fuck except for the people that you care about around you?
That's true. Yeah.
If you've only got one friend and you post a photo on Facebook, and then a bunch of people are gonna bully you on that one photo, if your one friend doesn't fucking think it's a stupid photo, then who cares? Like, I have my Instagram feed for my friends. It's for me. I like it. It's the best things to make it out of my camera roll, and I get to go back and scroll, and I get to see, fuck, that was a great night. That was a great night. But
memories.
It's memories. It's
Yeah,
memories.
it's memories.
And
They're
it's
cool.
for my friends. It's for my family. It's for me. It's like, fuck, couldn't care when I get millions and millions of views on YouTube one day. I'm not gonna care. I'm never gonna read the comments. I'm never going to. I just want to be able to share other people with other people.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get caught up in comments. You can't get caught up in likes. You can't get caught up in views.
Don't chase the trends.
Yeah, you can't.
It's a never-ending trend. Like chasing the trends it'll burn you out. Like,
Yeah.
It's so hard to predict what's going to be popular and what's going to not. What's cool one day is not. Like, remember the fidget spinners?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, you won't see anyone with them. Oh,
Yeah.
I think some people use them for like if they've got like attention disorders.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. But other than that, like they were the coolest thing for a while, and people paying stupid amounts of money to get them, like the rare ones. But now it's like, you know, now it's just seen as that dumb trend that was like, oh, do you remember those stupid fidget spinners?
Yeah.
Which means that someday they'll probably come back.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like anything that's was once popular, and then we think it's stupid, and then we get nostalgic for it, and we're like, oh, remember those simpler times, and somehow having a fidget spinner brings that back in some way. I don't know if it might. It could happen. But
I believe it will. That's the way the world works.
Yeah.
Everything comes and goes in cycles.
well, the younger people were obsessed with it then, and 10 years from now they'll be adults, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, fidget spinners are cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then the new generation of people would have never seen it be cool.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, they would have.
So they'll get a chance to experience it for the first time being cool.
Yeah, they would have heard about it maybe. But,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have been there for the trend, I don't think.
Yeah,
It's
fuck
like-
yeah. I'll tell you what I want to do with you.
Oh, yeah.
This thing, deep questions.
Right. Yeah. All right.
I love doing it. Only because I feel like it's not a waste of an episode without doing it, but I like seeing where the conversation could have led
Yeah.
to if we had have just gotten to them.
Go for it, man.
So I'll try and avoid too many questions that I've had on repeat in the past. But this is a good one to start it off with because you said you do enjoy reading. But what's one book that changed your life?
There's been. I like to think in a way that in some way they all have in some way. You know, even if it's just a minor thing, it's something I learned from it, and that's, you know, offered new opportunities. But I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say a book called Burial Rites.
And I'll put a link in the description. And I'm also curious, what is this
Yes.
book about?
It is about a woman in Iceland who's the last woman to be executed there. So yeah, it's a bit of a grim book.
Wow.
They recommended it in high school, and I already was interested in Iceland before that, and I liked the cover as well. And I thought because it was a suggested text, and I used it in one of my exams, and I got really good marks for it because I based on that story.
Nice.
But it's just like a woman, yeah, that I won't spoil a lot, but you learn a lot from different people. Like she gets the first person perspective, and then other people around her, and it's it's a really insightful look into like not everything is how it seems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it's been a really great book. Another one is it's hard to talk about burial rights without giving away like anything, because it's a relatively short book, it's maybe like 300 pages. But yeah, that's at least my favorite book.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I've read that, and each time I find something new. But another one is one by a Japanese philosopher called The Book of Five Rings.
Oh yeah, I've read that book.
Yeah,
right there.
Is it?
It's
Oh,
The second one on the bottom.
It's right next to the mastery.
Miyamoto Musashi.
Miyamoto Musashi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
what a book that is.
that is a
Yeah.
great book. I was introduced to that in 2017, and that's really also what helped me with my understanding of Japan. And I wouldn't have had these adventures if I already had an interest in Japan before that. But that book just enhanced that. And it's a great book.
Yeah.
Everything in there is super good to read. It's not like one that you can pick up and like just flick through like while you're bored, like about to fall asleep or something. It's one that you really do need to comprehend. But it's a relatively short book.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you read it. Like I'm glad other people are picking up on how good this book is. And
I believe Delvin. I'm gonna shout out to Delvin. Delvin put me onto that book.
Right.
I'm
Right.
pretty. Yeah, he did. He gave me his copy, and then I gave it back to him before I got my own copy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I got it for I got it for my birthday in 2021. So I was my mate Sam, shout out to Sam. He gave it to me, and it was a great birthday present. And it's a hardcover one, and it's illustrated as well. It's a really good book.
I'll put a link in the description for this book as well.
Yes.
Also, but I think it's important to know for anyone who's not familiar with reading that this book is a giant metaphor.
Yes.
Like that's without knowing that, you could read the whole book and never even realize it was a metaphor.
Just understand it as a guide telling you how to, kill your opponent.
Yeah.
So the best way to see it is to translate it to how you would apply this in everyday life. And he kind of lets that on at the start. He says there's a strategy in everything. You know, the builder needs to know what kind of wood he has, and the chef needs to know what ingredients. I don't remember if that's exactly it, but I know about the builder was saying like what kind of wood, what kind of scaffolding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a strategy for everything. That really did change my mind on a lot of things. So yeah, take it as apply it to what you're passionate about, what you want to do, because businessmen in Japan study it. People, yeah, it's not strictly just for martial arts, and the same goes for the art of war as well. It's you apply
That's
that.
also a great book.
That's another great book. Yeah, that's that one. I read that first, and then I read Book of Five Rings, or Gorin no Sho, as it's called in Japan. My dream would someday to be reading it in the original language.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be tough. Like, because it's not easy to read in English.
Yeah.
But in Japanese, it's well translated. It's beautifully translated. Depends on which one you get, but I've had a few copies of it. I had it on the phone first, and then I used to read it on the bus on the way to school, and then I've had it on I've had physical copies. I gave one to a mate, and he never gave it back.
Yeah,
bastard.
Yeah.
But if that, I got my physical hardcover one now from Sam, so I'm good.
Yeah,
Great book.
I think I read in such curiosity about Miyamoto Musashi, like in the terms where it's like, fuck, this guy was such a badass. Like,
Insane.
let me just learn how much of a badass he was.
Yeah.
So then it wasn't until I was it's probably not the big, it's probably a 250-page book, if max.
Yeah, it's not a very long book.
I think maybe only 220, maybe even of them are
I think
actually the
it's shorter
story.
than that.
Maybe
It's like
less.
90 actually. It's not long. It's a short book.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's one you need to comprehend. It's one that you study. It's not one you read.
Yeah.
It's more like it's not like boring stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
It makes you think. I can't recommend. I've bought a copy for it for Caleb, my best friend. He never read it. I was really upset, and I was like, please give this a go. Like, we were into for LARP, we were doing sword practice. So I was reading.
And let me
Musashi.
just pause you right there. I think I remember Caleb now.
Yeah.
Based on Facebook photos.
Yeah, he's huge into
really
it.
Into, what do you call it?
LARP.
LARPing?
Yeah, he's huge into it. I do it with him as well. I'm not as enthusiastic about it as him, but I still go to the games. I went to Winterfest, and it was there at Winterfest. So I still get dressed up for it. I'm not as passionate as he is about it, but I still enjoy it. It's been pretty fun. I made friends there, and I had like relationships like outside of LARP there. Like
I'd like to actually sit down one day and do an episode with him too, because
he's a good guy.
Yeah, because I've definitely seen the Facebook photos, because I've liked them and I've been like, fuck, that looks dope.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort that goes into it. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff. It's just expensive.
Yeah.
Like a full set of mail is like can be at least over 1,000 more. Usually more. That's actually quite cheap for mail.
Wow.
But there's like a lot of cool people I've met from LARP. A lot of shitty and crappy people as well. It's like school. There's a lot of all sorts of people from all parts of the world, and most of them are pretty cool. I have trouble relating with some because like a lot of them have only friends at LARP. Like only friends are from LARP, and that's a bit harder for me to relate to. But there's all corners of people that go to LARP.
Yeah.
And people that are less like devout to it and that are less fanatical about it is the ones I'm usually closer with, because I have a hard time like relating to the lore, and I don't really care too much for the roleplay. I'm not a huge fan of I like it, but it's like some people.
It's a hobby. Like, it's not even a hobby. It's more like an interesting thing to experience.
It's something I get up. It's something to experience.
Yeah. And for everyone listening who isn't familiar with the term LARPing, live action role playing.
Yes.
So I don't want to offend because I know nothing about it, but you basically, I'm going to say, pretend to be within a world outside of our own world.
Yes, a created world. Yeah, we for my one, Cicadia is its own world. Lore is written, but it's very ambiguous. So it's designed so that you can make your own stuff. And that's probably why I'm not a huge fan of the role plays, because I don't really like the lore there too much. But it's designed that way. It's not designed to be just one setting. It's designed to be pretty open. It's like it's a lot like D&D. Which is well, it makes sense. That's a lot of us are into D&D, and the world's based on D&D stuff and Warhammer stuff. It's just the head admin of Creator, like I'm friends with, and he just said I've just created like the most generic world possible, like had all these things in it, and yeah, it's just so players can explore make their own stuff.
Yeah, it's fucking actually so interesting. Yeah, like fuck, it's way more interesting than I thought, to be honest with you. I would love to do a full. I'll save it for another episode in the future.
Maybe
I
I'll
might
come
break
in,
that down.
Maybe I'll come in my kit, have my
Yeah.
I've got my pirate, my Viking kit, and you should ask Caleb to show up even in kit. Maybe he'd love to. He loves it.
Oh, dude, that's dope. I will.
He loves his costumes.
I'm gonna do that. Very, very. If any of the boys are interested, please let me know, but that would be a great episode. And I will do that.
It's always fun to learn about. I mean, a lot of the time it's just people, laughing at you or making fun of you for doing it. But it's like, I don't care. I do it for me, not for you. So.
Oh well, I can see why people would think that's something to be humorous, because like,
it is funny.
I'm an interested person in a lot of weird things. But if I wasn't, I can see why it would be something funny to be laughed at, because it's not as absurd as something like what do you call them, furries? Like furries. Yeah. Like that's a complete made up world, and it's similar in a sense where you are indulging in a fantasy.
Yes.
It's just that one's fucking. I'm gonna put judgment on furries. I can't help. Like I think it's a bit too ridiculous for me.
Yeah.
But I can see why the idea of having fun can be looked at as humorous for other people.
Well, it's just what they enjoy. Like, I think it's cool the costuming stuff. I'm deeply disturbed by the pornographic material, and I hate when people have to sneak that into like a website I was reading or a photo section. They sneak it in there because I guess it's funny. But there's a few furries that LARP, but like I've never had any issues with them. I've never really interacted with many. I don't think I've ever seen someone in a fursuit.
I want to fucking have a podcast with a furry too. Fuck it, that's interesting. That's interesting as. Yeah, fuck it. I'm open ears.
For the most part, they're just regular people. Some of them are weird, but yeah, with LARP, like even I get like a laugh at some of the shit that goes on. Like there are people there that like a lot of drama, like actual drama enthusiasts, like the actors, and so there's a lot of that goes there so they can practice because it's you're playing a character.
Oh yeah, that would correlate, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there's a few actors
like full acting like.
We break character all the time. I barely put on an accent when I'm there, and a lot of the time, like when I'm talking to people, it's as we go out of character. That means like I'm not talking to you as Orphan. I'm talking to you as Alexander. So like
Fuck, that's cool, God. That's
we have to do it like that. You have to or you can just say like, out of character, but
because otherwise it could just be too confusing. It wouldn't even
too confusing, and also it's also like like, do you mind if like I say this, or do you mind like out of character? Do you mind if I like embrace you, or do you mind if I sit down or something, like out of character? Like it's just done to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, you're not disrespecting the rules and and all that stuff. You're there to participate, but you're also like, you understand that like sometimes you need to have a chill.
It's not real.
Yeah.
It's the best because it's called bleed. It's when your character's lifestyle, your character's personality bleeds into your
that's
actual
fucking crazy, into your real life.
Some people that's never happened to me.
Oh my god!
Because I don't want to. Wow. I'm already like living in my own fantasy world, so I don't need to.
I
need to live in another one.
Wow, I bet that happens so often, dude.
Few people, yeah.
I bet people get lost in it.
They
because I bet it's realistically so fun. I bet it's actually a great time, and I bet some people would prefer that more than anything else happening in their own personal lives.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. It's a fantasy, but like, it's sometimes a bit dangerous as well because it borders on delusion. But there was like one person I knew, like they were more, because they dated the person, but they were more in love with the character like that they played than the actual person themselves. It was a bit messy.
What?
That might have just been something they said because they broke up with them, and they were just trying to, they're like, I can't believe I was with him. It's like, oh no, I was more in love with the character.
Wow.
It's.
Fuck, that's mind-blowing. Yeah, that's a fucking future episode, 100%.
LARP is its own avenue.
Yeah.
And it's gotten, like, articles on SBS, and now you see it on, there's, like, an ad for, like, a healthcare line, like, insurance, and she's like, I'm climbing a tower one day and doing that sort of stuff. Like, make it out a bit more exciting than it actually is, because a lot of LARP, at the start is just role playing and just talking about what's going on. It depends on the weather as well. In summer, there's less battles because we don't want to be running around the heat. Winter is ideal for it, and then that's why we have our weekenders or in winter. They're pretty nice. They're cold. They're nice. They're usually freezing in the night and the day in the morning, but the day they're perfect for battling because the more cooler costumes obviously require more stuff on them, more leather, more armor. And I can tell you from wearing chainmail and from wearing plate, it's fucking it's heavy.
Yeah.
But chainmail isn't too bad. It's breathable. It's designed to be, but it gets hot.
Yeah.
And especially with the Viking faction we have, lots of fur.
Yeah.
So a lot of the fur stuff we have, we can't actually show off because it's too hot to wear. So we only get to wear it very rarely. I love my fur that covers me. I've got photos of it somewhere. But it keeps me warm when it's cold, but it's a bitch in summer. Especially with chainmail on as well.
Yeah.
So,
fuck, that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I love how we got to that just from books.
what is the second?
And I'll chuck in a book as well too.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, sorry. I'm not eager to end it. It's just just curious to see what the second one is. Yeah, what's your book?
Well, I'd say the book that changed my life would be easier to say Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, which is
I think that's somewhere.
the orange binder.
It's around somewhere.
Top shelf on the right.
Right.
That for me was the first book that put me on my path of reading.
Right.
That's why it changed my life.
Yeah,
it took me a fucking long time to get through it. Oh, you know what?
But at least you did.
I might change my answer. I'm going to say The Power of Habit, which is the book next to that one, because I've had the 12 Rules for Life for probably 5 years, maybe since it first came out.
Right.
And I never finished it. It was too boring. I wasn't interested enough in reading to get through it.
Yeah.
I just liked Jordan Peterson as an individual when I first stumbled upon him. But The Power of Habit was a book that was brought to me by my grandfather's wife, my step-grandmother. And that was so interesting to see someone psychologically break down what habits are.
Yeah.
That put me on my pursuit of reading, which made me re-pick up 12 Rules for Life. The Power of Habit was a great book. If you haven't read it, I would definitely recommend it.
It is a really good book then, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great book.
It breaks down the psychology of habits, how to destroy a habit, what habits are, key factors and stories of why habits have been so influential in human evolution. Really cool.
That's I need to get onto these. I don't know why. I've got I've read the the philosophy books, the Book of Five Rings, and I've read other philosophy texts and help and self-help and lifestyle, a lot of the Buddhist stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely got to do with mindfulness and self-help in some way. And so I've always enjoyed those, and I always get really excited reading them. And you
I read a great Buddhism book called something, I can't even remember what it was called. Something to do with Buddhism, prophets and prophecies or something.
I think it's just a bunch of quotes and stories, and they're always fun to read through.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that book. Yeah.
Having visited Buddhist temples, and the Nantian one at the Wollongong is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Buddhist countries. I always love going to Buddhist temples in Japan as well, and it's always an experience. And I've never had a bad experience at a Buddhist place, but
yeah, very cool. All right, we'll find another good one because that was a good question.
That was an excellent one. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, it's good to find someone who actually reads well. Reads. None of my friends read.
It's not super. It depends on your friend group too. I think generally speaking, people I don't know. I don't want to generalize, but generally speaking, the more. I'd say the university crowd, of course. Well, because we have to read. It's just part of what we do, and we might enjoy reading.
Well, all my friends are tradesmen, so we're tradesmen because we didn't enjoy reading.
Yeah.
That's the simplest way to put it. We weren't interested in school, so we left school as early as possible to pursue anything that didn't involve literature.
But the key takeaway from that is just because they don't enjoy reading doesn't mean they're stupid, because I hate how people say that, because I met a lot of people at university that are not only some of the dumbest, but worst people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
It's not that they are stupid, it's that they just don't enjoy the typical interpretation of education. Yeah. Practical skills is just as important.
Yeah.
So.
I think that the intelligence is completely misunderstood.
Yes.
And we can't narrow it down to anything to do with how you spend your time. Intelligence
And
is
what grades
just,
you get, what number on the page.
yeah. Intelligence is just about what you find interest in, and how interested in you, how much time you're willing to invest into one thing could result in intelligence. You know, like I would consider myself to be intelligent when it comes to something like podcasting.
Yes.
Just because of the amount of different podcasts I can
You're
assume.
definitely open-minded.
Yeah.
And that's always such a key importance of someone's intelligence, keeping an open mind. Because how else are you going to learn without being interested in something?
Yeah.
That's always, I've always tried to be as open-minded and curious as possible. I'm interested in most things. I don't become an expert, but you learn something.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
I know a little bit about everything, but I know a lot about nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even Aristotle, Socrates, he said, "As for me, I know nothing." Because the more you know, the less you know. The more shit you find out, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that." Like,
yeah.
The more that you go down that rabbit hole, and you'll never really know everything.
Yeah. That's one thing I'm learning as I get older too. Fuck, the more I think I know, all it does is open more doors that I didn't know existed in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think I want to do a well deep dive next year into Plato, Socrates, and things like that, because that's what's built the baseline for a lot of
the philosophy,
structure and shit. Yeah.
They say Aristotle's the first philosopher. They say it depends on what you classify as philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there may have been scholars in China that had philosophy before Aristotle.
Sure.
Yeah. So
yeah.
And even India as well. Often neglected is India's role in the philosophy.
Well, I think that how do you pronounce his name?
Aristotle.
Aristotle.
Yeah.
He was. Socrates was an apprentice under him.
I think so. Yeah.
And I think Plato was an apprentice under him.
Yeah.
But then all of them at one point decided, "You're a fucking idiot."
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
that's what they do. So they argue. Like,
Yeah.
people don't realize with the higher education level, like PhD and scholars, they to even write an essay is you're making an argument. So they argue for a living.
Yeah.
So they don't agree on anything really. That's why they dispute that, and that's why they make their case and they argue. But basically what they do is they fight with each other. They argue.
Yeah.
And that's people like, oh, they're so, these people are so valuable. They're so well educated and they're so intelligent. It's like they argue, they fight. They're just like anyone else. Like, when I get into arguments with my friends, it's usually about this sort of stuff, like the deeper stuff. And it's they fight.
Yeah,
It's basically it. You argue.
And it's interesting because one of the books on the shelf is actually a book called How to Win Every Argument.
Oh, right.
Win Every Argument. And it's the power of debate and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's because there is so much money and business behind arguments. And it's the same thing about political opinions and political parties. It's like it's the business of debate, you know what I mean? Like, they don't even necessarily disagree. And it's the same with scientific debates. Scientific debates aren't necessarily because they're disagreeing with each other. It's to create funding in whatever field that they need investment of.
Well, if you ask the questions, then you open new avenues. They posit a question, they'll see what they can do with it. That's how they.
If two people are agreeing in a scientific debate,
then
there's no finance, there's no investments, because if two people are disagreeing, then they will be able to create more revenue to dive deeper, even if they're going into the same field.
Yeah.
If these people get $50 million, but then these people are like, no, you're looking at it wrong. We actually should be looking at this value instead. Then they can also generate 50 million. They're not going to share the 50 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is as far back as arguments go, which is as far back as Plato and Socrates and all these people.
The way to win an argument is to just not get into one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really shitty answer. But sometimes you fight for what you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone argues all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's all right. We'll find another good question.
Yeah.
Find another good question. What is fame worth? You can answer this question however you find necessary. How does the question speak to you? What is fame worth?
Well, being famous is assumedly because you've done something that is noteworthy. But I don't know, myself, I've always had some kind of dream of being famous. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think everyone, in some extent, you want to be famous until you are.
Yeah.
How they say it. So I think fame comes with its. I think there's more gripes, if anything, with fame, in my opinion. Like, really makes you a delusional airhead and a very stuck-up person a lot of the time. And also, like, your world is so centered around those people that will keep being around you because you are famous, that you lose connection with what people really are.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, with fame, I think it's a double-edged sword, man. It's a great opportunity to prove your art, whatever it is, if that's what you're famous for. But it's also very draining, and being in the public eye is not a good thing, in my
Yeah.
opinion. It's whatever
Yeah.
you do, everyone sees it. So that's when we love to watch the celebrity compilations of them getting angry. They may just be angry about one thing, but now the whole world sees it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like everyone gets angry, but not everyone has a camera in their face while they are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, fame, how I interpret the question is like, what is fame worth? And for me, it's worth my time, because I feel like I need to get to a stage of fame in order for me to reach the
Yes.
people I want to reach in the future.
Yeah.
You know,
You don't do what you're doing without being in the public eye. You know,
yeah.
that's how you get to anywhere.
Yeah, and I just feel like in order for me to sit down and break apart different people who have their own podcasts and see their journey and their experiences, that will only come when I get fame.
Yeah.
So it's a mountain that I'm learning. I'm mapping out at the moment without stepping my first foot on the mountain. I'm studying it. I'm trying to work out, all right, what's the best route to take in order to get to the top of this hill. And as soon as I start climbing, I feel like, all right, I've spent enough time. I feel like I'm safe enough to start taking this journey.
Right.
And that's when it will come with TikToking and reaching out, and not necessarily clickbaiting, but changing my platform in a way that is more suited for gauging attention instead
Yes.
of instead of reaching my friends. So for me, fame is important.
Well, it's wonderful practice, meeting up with friends, because you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a weird balance at the moment, because it's like I'm not necessarily using everyone as experience, but I'm counting my time at the moment as practice hours.
Yeah, of course.
But at the same time, if this is all it ever is, I'm having so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
That's like, fuck. How I think it's amazing that we're able to sit down and have this long
yeah.
format conversation. I'm honestly so grateful for it.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you having me.
Yeah.
And thank you for putting me on the show.
Yeah.
Sorry about being late getting here.
Don't even worry about it.
Got
Don't
a
even
bit
worry about
distracted.
it. I mean, I've done my grandfather, his wife. I plan to do my other pop, my nan. I'm going to do my mum, dad, brother, and sister.
Right.
And I want to go back and just do some of the people who raised me. I want to do some
Yeah.
teachers, mentors, trainers. Like, if that's all it ever is, that's fucking.
That's
I'll die
good for
happy.
me.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I like painting and building the models, and I get so much joy out of it. But I know I'll never be like a professional painter. Like, I'll never be in the competitions. But I know it's only gonna be seen by me and my friend group.
Mm-hmm.
But I still enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters to me. Is it's something that's fun for me, and as long as you're enjoying what you're doing now, even if it's hypothetically, if it just stays as a relatively small podcast, you still enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
what you're passionate about. So
That's a life that I'm happy living.
that's what you're happy doing, and it's not like you've abandoned work and everything just to focus on it. You're still working.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I would. If I could get paid to just
If it
500
took up-
bucks a week to exist, I would happily just do this instead. But obviously that's impossible,
For now.
For now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that as long as I have someone to sit down with once a week, I'm happy.
Yeah, all right.
It doesn't matter anything else. That's the most important
Good
thing.
thing there's 7 billion people out there
yeah.
and 25 million Australians.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. It's actually not that easy to find someone who's willing to come
No,
be on
'cause
camera.
a lot of people are nervous about it. I mean, I was a bit nervous the day before, but like I've always wanted to be on a podcast, so I've always like imagined like when I see them, I'd be like, well, what would my response be to that, or what would I say to that? No, maybe when I'm really bored in the car, I hear the question and then I answer it myself. Even
Oh,
though
I'm the same.
Even
Yeah.
if I'm speaking over someone else, it's like I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta stay awake somehow.
I'm exactly the same, bro.
Yeah.
I don't just listen to podcasts. I study them. I study the answers. I study the questions. I
Yeah.
pretend that it's me.
It's like a lecture,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a unscripted lecture. You know,
Yeah.
And,
Unscripted lecture. Damn, that's a great little gem, bro.
yeah, because like lectures are they're just going off what they don't carry around the paper. They've just spoken about the subject so many fucking times that they can get a few PowerPoint slides and they're like, oh right, that they can talk about it because they know the
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Fucking.
Yeah.
What a great. I loved that question. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Here's one. Why is your best friend your best friend?
Well, he's not. I hate him. No.
Yeah.
I've known them for so long, and we've been through so much that even with Caleb, like, yeah, we argue and we disagree on things, but that's the sign of a healthy relationship. You only argue if you care.
Yeah.
You know, like, if I don't care about someone, if I don't care about them, their point they raise is stupid. I'm like, I'm not going to get in an argument with you because I don't care about you. You're a moron.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
matter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave this place and never think about you again. But yeah, Caleb is, my best friend because that, we've been best friends for so long, he's been with me through the ups and downs. 2020 was very good. It wasn't great for me, like everyone else, I had a rough year. And he was there with me the whole time and helping me out. And we saw each other when lockdown wasn't happening. We were speaking to each other other times. So yeah, he's my best friend because of that. He was very helpful, and his mum helped me get in the career I'm in now. I've known them just for so long that I can't. Even if we don't talk as often as I'd like to, and things were a bit strained with us before. We were arguing a little bit over some just some petty LARP drama, but he's happy and I'm happy, and he's still my best mate because of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a quality bloke.
Yeah, great answer. I think that time takes a massive factor in why best friends become best friends. The hardship too.
Yeah.
Pushing through and overcoming is definitely what creates best friends. I personally haven't talked about it on the podcast, but I've had a fallout with someone recently, and it's been rough, but it's all been inside my own head. But recently, it's like it never happened. Right. All it took was for one person to stop the battle of being stubborn that me and a lot of my close friends are prone on, and that's just ignoring your own feelings and letting stubbornness take over. But that has now, it's like that little dispute never happened. So and I think that time and in time it would make our friendship so much stronger too. I think overcoming arguments is what really, really defines a great friend.
With Caleb, we were arguing about one thing, and eventually I was just like, that angry about it. I was like, I'm gonna, cut ties with the cunt. I don't want anything to do with him. It's like, is it really worth that? Like you're like losing out on so much.
Yeah.
And like that one thing that bothers you isn't what his whole life revolves around. Yeah. It's not like it was just personal issues. It's not like he picked up a drug habit or anything. Just minor bullshit we were fighting about, and I'm glad it's over now. But we didn't. I think maybe it made us closer. Maybe it didn't.
I think it really does. I think it really does make people closer.
Yeah, it's hard to say because he's been my best friend for so long. It is like family, and it's like whenever you fill out the forms, it's like they're like other kin besides family. I'll just put his name down.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he doesn't get a random call from someone when I'm in trouble, when I'm overseas or something.
Yeah,
saying like, yeah.
Yeah. Good answer. I liked it. We'll do a couple more. We'll do 2 more of these.
All right.
All right. I like this question. What do you believe your reason for existing is?
Ooh. Damn, that is a deep one.
Yeah.
Well, I always wondered like what path man is left with, and I think that we're survivors, man. Like, humans aren't the strongest, and one thing we've always got is we're the smartest, but, we're not the strongest. We are not tough.
Mm-hmm.
We're very prone to, injury, and we have to wear clothes, for example. We're not always built for the environment we're in, but we seem to just thrive on survival. And anywhere in the world you look at, no matter if it's towering heights of like the sky towers in the high rises of like New York or Tokyo, to like the little huts that people live in parts of Central Africa or the Amazon. And we make our survival. We survive. Yeah, just through that. I think we just have an innate stubbornness that no matter, like I was saying, we're not tough, we're not strong, so we're not able to climb trees and get all the fruits down. We figure ways around it. Like, we're so stubborn with our survival that we just adapt. And that's another thing about us, is that we're adaptable. You'll find us in every continent. No other, I don't think you find anything else. Like, there's not even, I don't think there's even mosquitoes in Antarctica.
Yeah,
if you think about it. We're everywhere. And it was, funnily enough, it was in a fucking Warhammer book. I realized that, because there was like a dwarf talking about like how they still saw like human civilization like on world's edge mountains, like really hostile terrain. There's still people there. He's like, wherever you go, you seem to find men. Like, somehow man is just able to live there. And I think that just comes down to, even if it's not a particularly good environment or a one that's nice to live in, we still manage on, we still survive. So well, for me, I always wanted that. And then I think for myself, it's I'd love to become a scholar someday, or to teach and to have a book, have some kind of legacy with that. But I'm just happy to learn my own things and do my own pace, and not always share what I learn, but like through public means, like writing, but still like find purpose in learning and experiences, like experiencing travel and meeting other people and keeping an open mind, and finding other people in the world that you might think it's strange or taboo, but to them it's not. And what you do is to them, but they, that's just how we are. We're different. We're adaptable. We're different for that reason, because the environments we're in is the culture that we are, and there's many different environments because we're everywhere.
Yeah. Nah, fuck, that's awesome.
No shortage of man, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's fucking sick. I'm with you. Fuck, we are stubborn survivors, aren't we? There's nothing like a human, bro. I believe that we are the eyes and ears, mouth. We're not just the eyes, ears, mouth, and nose for the universe, because many other forms of life have the same senses. Yeah. But we are the conscious part of the universe. We are so far the only part of the universe that has the ability to question. Yeah. So I believe that my reason for existence, other than all the other concepts I've created, like to procreate, to create offspring, to make the world better around me, like all these little things.
The survival instinct.
Yeah.
We go above the survival instinct.
Yeah.
But then that also create. Oh, sorry if I cut you off.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I don't think they quite understand where that. I'm not a neuropsychologist, so I wouldn't know. But I don't think they really understand why we ask that, like why we question it. Because as far as I know, when they teach animals to communicate with the sign language, they just go off what's on them. But there's only ever been one that's asked an abstract question. That was a parrot that asked what color I am.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, because they don't question it. They, we do, like, that's really an insane thing that we can question. Like, well, why are we here? Like, for the for the sloth that's just like, he doesn't question, he just does it. And the parrot, that's really interesting to me, is that like even the other super intelligent animals, only one of them's ever asked a question about themselves, and has ever asked an abstract question. Like, it might have just been based on, because it's funny to watch, because I've got a Alexandrian parrot, and I've always loved parrots. He doesn't talk, but I watch on YouTube. There's like there's one African grey. They try and make him really smart. Like, all parrots are smart in their own way, but he's able to, like, you tap on a glass and you like say, what is this? And you're like, glass. You can say that.
I've seen these clips.
The Apollo. Yeah. And so like my dad, I brought it up to my dad yesterday, and he's like, oh, it's still clever, but like he's only just associating what that is with what he's been taught. I'm like, isn't that what we do? Like, we don't ask like, well, who made this glass, or where did this glass come from? How is the production of glass made? We just know it's glass. But of course you can ask that. So like in learning from that parrot, it feels like we're becoming smarter as well. It's like he's teaching us.
Yeah.
Because the parrot like tapped on the wall, and it was like a tile, and he was like, the bird said, it's like, what made of? And the guy's like, I guess it's rock or stone. I guess it's glass. It might be a glass. Like he's asking
I've
he's
seen this
asking her.
exact video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Apollo is very very clever, and I love watching him. Yeah, he's like, I like the I don't know if you've seen the blue one, the Kiwi, the
Oh, I wouldn't remember.
no, he just kind of repeats what's been said. But Apollo's really clever and like picks up on things and is able to like form sentences as well. Like it's a block, like shit. Like I don't know, I just love watching parrots. I love
Yeah.
animals.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it's cool because there's been a couple other cases in history where animals, when they've taught them to sign, like chimpanzees and things like that, they have questioned things.
Yeah,
And just like the parrot who asked what color I am, I can't convince myself that is truly a form of conscious intelligence to the fact of questioning. I believe it could be coincidence that
yeah.
it happened to string those words together.
I think so
in
as
order.
well.
And it's the same as the chimpanzees or the monkeys that have signed things like, why am I? Who am I? Who
Yeah.
am I is a question that sounds like it's coming from a super intelligent, but it could just be a
It's just-
coincidence that they've happened to sign those in order to make that.
And at the end of the day, it's mimicking.
Mimicking,
That's what they
yeah.
do. Parrots mimic. So they don't really understand what they're talking about. It's like they say, oh, he knows that, swearing is funny. It's like, no, you gave the reaction. Like you think it's funny when they swear. So obviously they love attention. They're obsessed with attention. They're very emotional creatures. So, when it swears and you laugh at it and you're like, oh, you shouldn't say that, and you give them a reaction, they'll keep doing it because it's funny.
Yeah.
And they know they're going to get a reaction out of it. Like, yeah, it's just mimicking at the end of the day, but I think they do comprehend certain things. And it's like the dog comprehends, you ask him to sit and so on. But no animal's quite gotten there just yet. I don't think so.
I don't know if it ever will, because I like the idea that we are the part of the universe that is able to question itself. And if there is no other life form, and even if there is on a faraway planet, even if it's in a different universe,
Yeah.
then we are the universe experiencing itself. So I believe that one reason for existence could be to experience.
The experience, yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you can watch film and see someone else's experience, but the experiences you have, they're all your own.
Yeah.
And only you will ever have that, like you can describe them to someone else, but only you can, close your eyes and see the exact moment, because only you experienced it, only you were there for it.
Yeah.
But on the universe thing, I did, I think from XCOM, it's like a strategy video game. The beginning quote is, there's two possibilities, is that like either there is a life out there or that we're completely alone. Both of them are terrifying.
Yeah.
So, and it's with that even with the consciousness, there's the theory that it's called like the worm theory. It's the idea that you see a worm and you walk past it because it's like, oh, it's too primitive. It's too basic. And if there is an alien creature out there that is so advanced and have such technology to come visit us, perhaps they do see us, and they don't think about us because we're nowhere near their level of advancement. That's pretty scary too.
Yeah, of course.
The alien is just unknown. Like even alien itself it just means like unknown.
I think alien just means
unknown.
what we
yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah, because like a person that comes in is like they say with people that cross the border illegally, they're illegal aliens because there's no paperwork for them. They've illegally entered. We don't know about them. So that's just what the term is, alien. But it's been used for like extraterrestrials, which should be the proper term as
Extraterrestrials.
or Xenos. If you're a Warhammer fan, we'll say Xenos because it means like aliens, and we hate them. In the future of humanity, like humans hate aliens
Yeah.
for
Okay.
good reason.
Yeah. Cool.
So we'll say Xenos.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, that was a good question.
Yes.
I want to find one more that I find to be a very good one, but so far all of these have led to fucking great answers.
Well, they're great questions. And thank you for finding them.
Yeah, it's alright.
Thank you for, they're very thoughtful because a lot of the questions on the podcast. I imagine it'd be quite difficult because I was theorizing when I was thinking about two shows. I'm like, oh, you should do an interview someday. I'm like, what if I interview? I'm like, what would I ask him? Like, what would you say? Like, I don't know, what's your favorite color? 'Cause you are talking to a stranger.
Yeah.
I've never met the guy in person. I only know about him because of the internet. I only know about him because of what's publicly been put out about him, what he's publicly put out. But I don't know the person.
Well, it's important to know that it's a skill. It really is that takes practice. The art of conversation is gained through friendship over time.
That was a weak push. I'm sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. Like, communication in itself seems like it takes no effort because it's being one of those things that you practice subconsciously throughout your entire life. Long format, internet-based conversation like podcasting. Yeah. It has taken time for me to feel comfortable enough to get to the stage where I'm at today.
Yeah, well, you've done well. It's very natural. I could see you growing big.
Thank you. I started off for the first probably dozen to 2 dozen episodes with a complete list on my iPad of questions that I thought would be able to get through.
Yeah.
And I steered away from it because it felt scripted.
It felt structured. Yeah. That's the whole point of the podcast, is it goes in so many different directions. Like, a lot of the time, you answer one question and you raise something else and you go completely off topic. But that's just conversations. That's just how they are. That's what a podcast is, essentially. It's just a long formatted, unabridged conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And that's why it's such a popular thing. Like, it's only really, I think, personally speaking, I think it only can really exist on the internet.
Yeah.
Because there's interviews, but the interview has to be with someone that you are have
familiar with, and the
someone
person only
people
wants to
care about to listen to.
Yeah, and the person only really wants to do an interview most of the time to promote.
Yeah, promotion. Yeah, because they're like, oh, they have it on like the talk shows. They'll have like a 4-minute snippet of like them talking about personal experience, but then you watch the whole interview and he's like, oh, he's in here to promote his new film, or we got Antonio Banderas, he's here to talk about Puss in Boots. Like, it's in cinemas this week, and it's like, that's why he's here.
Yeah.
That's why he's talking to you, Conan. Or not that I have any. No, I love Conan, but it is a business.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And that's why the podcast, where anyone can make one. Anyone funds them themselves. They're very easy to make. Easy to make, hard to master is what I gather.
The easiest thing is the hardest thing, which is starting.
Yeah.
And then the hardest thing becomes the easiest thing, which is continuing it.
Yeah. Because the setup and the editing is nothing really too crazy. You don't have to edit in special effects. You don't have so many the camera angles, but it's
just time consuming. It's all it is. It's not skill based.
It's time consuming, but all it is like, when it comes to like the camera angles, it's one person talking, the other person listening. Yeah. So it's not like you have to switch over like several different don't have to film the hallway of what's going on there. It's like, it's just this room. It's just what's happening here.
Yeah. It's the easiest form of editing when it comes to long format. If you're going to make a 2-hour video of something that wasn't a podcast, that would take so much more time.
A lot of months.
Yeah, so much more time.
Those YouTubers upload those mini documentaries. That's why there's a 3-month gap.
Yeah.
It's a lot of editing. A lot of just sitting there listening to yourself. And it's really boring, apparently, to do. It's just, but it's like, you got it done. Because well, I mean, for those YouTubers, I mean, they kind of have to. It's their job.
It's their job, yeah. But what I'm getting at is, like, when you think about what am I going to ask someone in an interview, it's the same thing as me when I used to have my notes. It's like, I don't ever think about it now. Before you came over, I didn't need to put any thought process into what am I going to ask you. But that's only because I've put so much practice into what I'm going to ask people in the past.
Yeah, right.
So it's easily done. It just takes practice. That's all it is.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
All right, very cool. Last question. Find one more good one.
They're all good.
Yeah. Well, I think what I would consider to be a good final question, because I love the answers. And it's, do you love yourself?
Yeah.
Good. Perfect answer.
Because I had times when I've said like, oh, I hate myself when I had my depressive periods, but then I found some people I really loved, and someone brought a quote like, you only love someone so much as you love yourself, and it's like, well, I do love that person. And so it's time to start loving myself. And so, I do. Still have my sad days or my bad days. Not often, but, everyone goes through their tough time. But, Yeah, I do. I like who I am. I'm happy with that. And I think that's very important is to, no matter what mistake you made in the past, let's focus on who you are now. Most people can redeem themselves. I'm not gonna say everyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Some people are just pieces of shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't say that to like a mass serial killer or like a dictator or something. Like, no, you're fucked. You're an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't care like how nice you are to your family. Like the way you treat people around you is how you'll be remembered for the most part. And loving yourself is very important. But do you love yourself?
I do.
I'm glad.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I love myself as well. And
Yeah.
I share the experience of not always loving myself.
Yeah.
I've gone through multiple stages so far in my existence where I've wished I wasn't myself, wished upon a star of someone else.
Yeah.
And I think that just the same way as having a best friend makes you stronger in love by overcoming that period of not wanting to be each other's friend.
Yeah.
I feel like going through the experience of not wanting to be yourself makes you appreciate yourself more,
Yeah.
even if it's all subconscious and you
Yes.
don't even realize what you're doing. It's important to love yourself, and that's a key factor that everyone always brings up. But do you love yourself is different than it's important to love yourself.
Yeah.
And just the fact that we get up out of bed every day and brush our teeth, make our bed, or even have breakfast, whatever it is that we do, proves that you have to love yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it's a part of human nature that you don't even have control over, it's the fact that humans are so stubborn in survival
Yes.
that makes us love ourselves.
Yeah.
And 100%, you can't love anyone else until you love yourself.
Yes.
And one thing that's important to note is that even if we have the ability to mold the person that we want to be. It's like you're playing a video game and you're choosing your own characteristics of Fallout, you know. I want to have
stats. Yeah.
2% of this, 2% of that, you know.
yeah.
And every time you get the ability, let's put a little bit more into lockpicking. Let's put a little bit
Yeah.
more into convincing,
Speech, yeah.
speech. So we have this ability as humans as well. And that just because you want to become someone completely different doesn't mean you don't love yourself at that moment, because you love yourself enough to change the facts that you don't like about yourself.
Yeah.
I think loving yourself is the most important characteristic that you should have. You know, you really can't have complete faith and trust in someone else until you have complete faith and trust in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm with you. Now, there is one final question that is not off the iPhone, and that's the same question that I do like to ask everyone at the end of the episode. It's just because someone may need to hear an opinion that they haven't yet heard, and that's what's some advice that you would give someone because they were feeling depressed, mostly because they were feeling lost.
The biggest thing with it was that it's not a overnight thing to feel better. You know, they say like, oh, if you go for walks or see a therapist, it may affect your mood for the time, but it's all about consistency and getting out of the dark spot that you've fallen in. Like, yeah, it's not an overnight thing, it's a journey, and it will make someone like stronger to go through and do those things to help themselves. And that's what, with me it was a lot of things was like reading again, and like when I got my license, obviously that helped a lot, and seeing a therapist and getting active, like getting out there, walking. Like I walk my dog. I go for walks now. I like explore things. Just seeing other things, like just to like a lot of things with the depression is that you don't want to do things. That's what the saddest part is that you don't feel motivated, but you really have to. I really emphasize that you have to, even if it's just a short walk or something, like something to break that mold and distract your mind, get something else on your mind is very, very important to somebody for dealing with something like depression, because it's all sorts of different forms, but generally lack of inactivity is one of the key reasons. We saw that with the pandemic. People couldn't go out, and a lot of times people like for the first real time experiencing like anxiety and depression that came with the lockdown, because they just they couldn't do what they usually did. Yeah.
Bill, you did beautiful answer, and I haven't heard anyone say what an obvious piece of advice that would be of consistency.
Yes.
Consistency is key. That's one of the
Yeah.
most important things that I result my whole life based around. Consistency is key, but as you said, you're not going to feel better overnight.
No.
It's unfortunate that you're in the situation you're in when you're feeling depressed, and it's not a magic. There's no magic behind it. It will take consistency, discipline,
Give
and
yourself something to look forward to.
yeah, and
yourself
everything that you went through to get out of it was the correct way to do it. Just like
Yeah.
it's about exercise. It's about exploring. It's about reading. It's almost like this might not be the right way to say it, but it's like you have a way of living that is like fundamental and it works. And depression is almost like you've stopped living the way that you should be living. So let's just start putting back together the pieces it takes
100%.
to get back to normal, and then you can start feeling great again.
It's usually what brings it on is a change in like a breakup or a relative passing away or losing a job, is that your way of living has been interrupted. And it's obviously there's no way to bring back the dead, unfortunately, but there are the stages of grief. And with the last one, acceptance, you will always miss them and be sad. But I think the long term thing is the person would never want you to have your whole life disrupted permanently because of their passing away. That's not the last thing that they'd want them. That's the last thing they'd want you to go through. So it's usually that's what I think from what I've gathered by reading is a change but then there's also like. That's depression, but then there's major depressive disorder where it's just like someone diagnosed with it. It's just something that they feel regularly or just more prone to experiencing. But there's always ways around. There's always people out there willing to help. Yeah, I think there's the world is can be a dark place, but we've also shaped it to what we want it to be, and that's people want to live good lives and be happy.
Yeah,
I think we're realizing that more than now ever. With now that life is so much easier, the hardship our parents or grandparents might have gone through, we can't really relate to as much because now technology's made things so much easier, and the progress in medicine and science, and I think life's getting better for the most part.
100%. Can't argue with that. 100% it is. Well, it was a great final answer, and I got to be honest with you. This may have been my favorite podcast yet. I'm not even lying to you. Like, I really do think that this has been a recipe of every single topic I think I could possibly fit into a fucking pie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when I go through and do my notes in the description for YouTube, I'm going to have to stop and pause every 2 minutes to write down another topic that we discuss.
All right.
But it's honestly been an amazing episode, dude.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's good to be here, and I'm a fan of the show. So I haven't seen them all.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't expect anyone to have seen them all, except for Zach and Nixie. I appreciate you both. Yeah. Yeah.
The true fans. Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem like good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very kind.
Yeah, honestly, it's been awesome. I actually can't wait to do another one with you in the future because I actually want to go deep into Warhammer and that whole universe that I have no idea a part of.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, sounds like
I
it.
tried to limit because I know I will just not stop talking about it if I get the chance. But gradually I think they call it like spoons, like the spoon of information. Gradually my spoon is broken and some of the keg's been released a bit.
Yeah.
Talking about a bit, but I've just learnt about this spoon thing the other day, and because I asked someone, I'm like, would you like to do something like I just don't have the spoons for it. I'm like, spoons? What the fuck are you talking about? I thought they wrote misspelled energy, but I'm like, how do you misspell energy from spoon? And then they explained the concept, and I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty clever. I like that idea of the spoons, but I wanted to send them a photo of me holding a bunch of spoons. Like, I found them. I got them here.
Yeah.
Or you could borrow mine. But it's a funny. It's been a good time. Yeah, I liked it. It's gone by a lot quicker than I.
It goes quick, dude.
Yes.
It's already 2:00. Can you believe? Yeah.
Shit. I got here at 10:30. 10:38 was when the GPS said I get here.
Yeah. So it's been awesome, dude. I really do appreciate you coming over, and I am really excited to do one in the future with you.
Yeah, I don't envy the editing process. That's what 3. No,
I don't even want to think about it. I'll just let it happen.
That's for another day.
Yeah, I'll let it happen. Sure. But yeah, as I said, thank you very much.
Likewise, man. It was good being here, and I'm glad you accepted it. Yeah, I just saw it. I was like, I was interested in it, but also I was hoping that maybe the people in your year that didn't know me so well, other viewers, might get an idea of what's been happening lately, and and learn a few things about me, and I get to learn things about you, and
Yeah.
get to have this experience. And I had nothing else to do today either. Even though it was supposed to happen yesterday, I'm sorry about that. Stuff for work came up.
It worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I think so.
It really did.
Yeah, sorry about being late again.
Yeah, all good. All right, well, until next time.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
Shawty catch a vibe, yeah, I had to put her on. Bought a two-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stunt.